Welcome to Show Me the Money Rugby League TV, and this is the show a lot of people have been waiting for. It is the Betfred Championship season preview for 2023. 14 teams, only one will be promoted to the Super League at the end of this season, and already it's very difficult to call what is going to happen. What we do know is that a lot of the clubs from last year who struggled have strengthened, and the clubs that were already punching above the weight have strengthened considerably more. Toulouse have come down, Lee have gone up, Featherstone have strengthened, Halifax, Bradford, York, Widnes are going to be in the mix. You look at Batley and Barrow. Listen, it's going to be a fantastic season, and over the course of the next hour and a half,
3 hours.
3 hours. We're going to preview the championship season for 2023. Before we get going and we focus on the teams in alphabetical order with the ins and outs and where we think they might struggle, where we think they're going to excel, where we think they might end up, just a little bit of a lie of the land. Just quickly, this is going to concern the championship clubs. So the latest from the RFL and IMG. So this is how this season is going to pan out in terms of the championship. So we're focusing on the championship. So hopefully everybody's been enjoying the off-season. The RFL and the IMG have been hard at work with moving the sport, touch wood, in a positive forward direction. The latest news and outlines communicated to the championship clubs are as follows. The championship clubs will hear something firmer on these grading pillar criterias in early March. So early March, IMG RFL are going to come to the championship clubs with the initial grading and pillars and say, what do you reckon to these? So clubs will receive this first IMG RFL grading and pillars in early March. And then what follows is a period of consultation and feedback between the RFL, IMG and the championship clubs, which will then produce the final version, which is due late June. So by late June, at the latest, the absolute latest, IMG said that, so I'm free to quote them. IMG said by late June, at the absolute latest, the clubs will know the grading and the pillars for the next 12 years. So this is going to be set in stone. This is what every club at championship level and League One and Super League, but we're focusing on championship. This is what every championship club will know what IMG want. And with that final version, because when they get it in March, there will be that period of consultation where I've spoken to a number of championship clubs over the weekend, and there'll be stuff in there that favours them, there'll be stuff in there that doesn't favour them, and it'll be the same at League One level, and it'll be the same at Super League level. Yeah. So there's going to be this period of consultation where things get added in, things get taken out. Listen, there has to be compromise. Super League clubs cannot have it their own way. Fact, IMG have said that. Whilst they want to grow from the top and get as many A category clubs, they have to respect the lower leagues, i.e. the Championship and League One. Otherwise, you just end up with what's happened previously, which is self-interest, and the game does not grow. It has to grow as one. So with the final version of the grading and pillars from the RFL IMG finalised, the clubs will be informed of their provisional illustrative grading. So this is the illustrative grading. We know this year, 23, is a dry run for next year when the big green button is hit and everything is live. So the clubs will know their illustrative grading late July, early August. So by early August at the latest, the clubs will know their gradings for 2024 based on the RFL grading and pillars. So by the summer, the shit might hit the fan because you might have championship clubs above current Super League clubs. I'm not saying that's going to be the case, Jimmy and Joe, but clubs will be put in a league table. So you will have the 4 or 5 A's. You will then have a big cluster of B's, like we know Hull KR, Hull FC, Salford, Castleford, Huddersfield are B's. We know Bradford, York, Widnes, Featherstone, Toulouse are going to be B's. It's going to be where they all line up in terms of the return on investment, in returns of what they actually do and bring to the sport of rugby league. So that will be really, really interesting. And just to reiterate, the clubs will be grouped. So there will be some championship clubs that are a Group C, which means they're only able to participate in what will be called the second tier and the third tier, which is Championship and League One. The names are going to change at some point. This year there will be a big announcement. The Super League will be rebranded as something new. The Championship will be rebranded. League One will be rebranded, as we know. So IMG, very clever. They're calling it the top tier, the middle tier, the bottom tier. So if you are graded a C, you can only participate in the second or the third. If you're a B, you can participate in the second and the top tier, but only when there are places available. And what that means is, if you're in that top 12 as a B, you're in the top tier, and obviously a top tier participant is an A, you're there on a permanent basis.
Could potentially a B be in the third tier, or will there just not be enough Bs?
There won't be enough Bs.
Realistically.
Yeah, there won't be enough Bs, because don't forget, Jimmy, this year we're at 14 and 12. Next year we'll be at 14 and 12. And even going into 25, we'll still be at 14 and 12. Yeah. So ideally, when we were showing the IMG slides just quickly, by 27, 28, 29, IMG, you're hopeful that there's 10 or 12 A clubs.
Yeah.
Then they can expand the Super League or the top tier.
So further down the line, 28, 29, there could be, as a drip down effect, there could be actually Bs who can't even get into the second tier. The
Correct.
idea is for all, but in the short term, any B's going to be safe, aren't they?
Yeah. So ultimately, their vision, if you actually went on into like 2030, this is the IMG vision, they're hoping to have 16 A's, 2 conferences of 8. That is the ultimate end goal for them, to have 2 conferences of 8. They didn't say if it was going to be East or West, but they do by 2030. They're hoping that the clubs respond to this grading and criteria and pillars and obviously evolve, and hopefully everybody's an A. Listen, I hope it happens, Jimmy, but look.
And even the second tier could end up being 2 conferences. With lots of Bs as well.
Listen, I know we've been critical on the full 80 minutes of IMG, but we will see. But just a quick one before we start talking on the clubs. Interestingly, I said to the RFL, I said, look, return on investment is massive. Can you give me the 5 clubs who bring the most return on investment in the Championship? So to be fair to the RFL, thank you very much for the information. And the top 5 clubs are Bradford, Featherstone, Toulouse, Widnes and York. Those are the top 5 clubs that bring the most value to the Championship. Now, there might be a couple of surprises in there. I don't know about you guys. Joe, you've been very quiet. But in terms of who gets the most, and don't forget central funding, it is 50% based on return on investment. So that is a heck of a lot of your central funding is based on every pound the RFL give the clubs. What do you return on that pound? And what the RFL are saying is the top 5 Championship clubs are Bradford, Featherstone, Toulouse, Widnes and York. So that already gives you an idea and a strong indication. And I said this on the radio yesterday. If you are a supporter of Bradford, Featherstone, Toulouse, Widnes or York, you should be getting really excited, because already that your grading, you're going to be one of those top B clubs above a Barrow, a Batley, a Halifax, a Swinton, a Whitehaven, a Barrow in the Championship. So
in that category.
No. This is everything, Jimmy. This is return on investment. This is everything.
Return of investment is only one aspect IMG are looking at. There's still going to be
no. Return on investment, Jimmy, is your pillars. It's your crowds. It's your data. It's your governance. It's your sustainability. That. I've spoken to IMG. I've spoken to Super League clubs. Everybody is saying that what we currently have as ROI pillars will be carried over into the gradings.
Right.
So I asked IMG...
So other than on-field performance, that kind of encompasses all the other categories, is that what you're saying?
Yes. So when I spoke to IMG, where are we looking? This is why I wrote down and I sent it to you last week. Market size and potential, future performance and growth, playing on-field performance, facilities and ability to host live games, and finance, sustainability and governance. Now, there was no indication on which one of those is going to be weighted. The clubs have been told they will get that this week or next week.
Right.
So the clubs will know at the end of January which of those are going to be weighted. If they suddenly come out and say, well, market size and potential is going to be more weighted than on-field performance, then you look at those top 5 Championship clubs, Toulouse, York, straight away you'd be looking at York for market size potential. Bradford's a big city. Toulouse is a big city. But look,
Yeah.
that's the lay of the land.
Yeah, good update.
There's going to be a lot, going on throughout the course of the championship season with updates here and there. And I think when that initial weighted grading criteria drops within the next fortnight and clubs actually know where IMG are going to put the weighted gradings, which is going to get you a place in the top tier, that is when the clubs can focus and divert probably their resources and attention into that area. Like I say, Newcastle, it's no secret, Newcastle, London and Bradford and the Championship have academies. And from speaking to Bradford, London and Newcastle, they get X amount of central funding and they're putting in over £100,000 each into their academies, whereas Super League clubs, they're giving 1.6, 1.7. So I know for a fact that Bradford, London and Newcastle already, because of their investment in youth academy, and it's okay saying, well, Featherstone want an academy or whatever, but a lot of these championship clubs, they've not been proactive in really putting pressure and wanting an academy. So, again, Bradford, London, Newcastle will have an advantage.
Would having an academy affect your ROI? If you're putting 100 grand into an academy and you're not then selling a George Flanagan Jr. for 80 grand, does that mean that there's no return on that investment?
Well, it does, because I mean, for instance, for yesterday, let's just use Bradford as a quick example.
Yeah.
Jimmy, yesterday there were 10 players missing: Bodine Thompson, Michael Lawrence, Billy Jowett, Jordan Bolwinson, George Flanagan, Dec Patton suspended, Evan Skur suspended, Kevin Apple visa issues, George Roby on loan from Huddersfield but still training in Malaga. So you've got your 10 players there that are missing.
Yeah.
If Bradford didn't have the academy and didn't put that investment in, they would not have been able to put that team out yesterday.
I get that, but I'm just wondering, if you're spending 100 grand on your academy,
yes,
rather than something else which is going to directly bring income back,
correct?
Will some clubs go, well, we don't really want to spend 100 grand on an academy, because if we spend it elsewhere, we're going to get more money back quicker.
No, I agree.
Unless you sell, Bradford are laughing. Let's say they've spent 100 grand, but George Flanagan's brought them 80.
Well,
then they're like, well, we've returned 80 grand on that 100 grand immediately.
If you listen to, I don't know if you listen, you were at the game yesterday, so you probably want to listen to it, but, Jason Hurst, the CEO, did say that, George Flanagan Jr., the money that they've received is going back into the academy. So that eases that burden, that financial burden. On Bradford.
It's an interesting. I think that's a good interesting point, isn't it? No, sorry.
But you've only got 3 clubs, and historically 2 of them are established Super League clubs, London and Bradford, in the Championship.
He's saying like Newcastle on that list, obviously for numerous exactly. But is that partly maybe because
they're investing?
They've got an academy. They're hoping they bring through some youth. There is other team. I know Keighley are starting to look at. Will that affect? Because obviously, if IMG don't find a way to include having an academy as being really important in return of investment, or using that as a separate point, that you're probably in trouble for Championship youth, aren't you?
I suppose my point is, you would never want any club to even consider not running an academy because they think they could return their investment in another area more.
No, I agree.
We've gone off this, but originally, obviously these are the new ones. Originally, I remember we said academy. They said was one of the big. It's going
to be massive.
Yeah.
But look,
where does academy fall into that? Except
these
future performance.
These are just the bullet points. Underneath each one of these, I presume there will be more little dots and areas. That's what I was given in terms of the 5 things.
And let's put it positive.
Which is very similar to the ROI, because the ROI is all about crowds. There's no secret.
Yeah, but do you get what they're saying though? Because if ROI, if let's, like you said, if you're not making money on your academy, does that actually make your ROI worse?
Yeah, but in terms of making money on the academy, it's not about making money on the academy. Bradford do not have an academy to then develop players to sell.
No, we're not saying it.
We're not saying
that's
that.
their
We're
intention.
saying, but if that affects your profits, running an academy is expensive.
It is expensive, yeah.
So that's
certainly
the point.
For a championship club.
So won't that affect profits? It will affect quite a few things within your club that could affect ROI.
Joe,
no,
I'm the same first and foremost. An academy for a Bradford, Newcastle, or London is a huge lifeline for those clubs in terms of ever getting back into Super League. And that money is worth its weight in gold. We know some Super League clubs put £500,000 in. Craig said it. Warrington have won £500,000 they put in their academy. And you could probably argue, has that really benefited Warrington over the years? I'd probably say no, because Warrington tend to produce one or two. You look at, is it Josh Fewlis?
Yeah, but I think the point is that it will negatively affect some of these, won't it? I think that's the playing on-field performance. If you're spending money on your academy.
Well, I've got to disagree, Joe, but that's just me.
Yeah, to summarise, all I'm saying is, let's hope it doesn't make anybody fit.
I agree. Hold on. Bradford, Newcastle or London are not going to be looking and thinking, well, we're not going to have an academy or spend $100,000 on our academy so we can put it into marketing to go our crowds. No, because you get your young players through, the crowds will come on the back of that. That's been proven time and time again.
And all I was going to say was, what Bradford have done over the years, their academy has returned a lot by flogging a few players. And I know that's not the long-term model and it's not necessarily what clubs want to do. But as long as that doesn't deter anyone or deter clubs from looking to get one, that's my
And the interesting fact when I was talking to IMG was, obviously, they're not just looking at, you've got an academy, here's a box ticks. They're actually looking at the whole structure, RE. So, for instance, for Bradford, they've got an under-15s and under-16s and under-18s reserves. They've got a women's, they've got a junior women's, they've got a wheelchair, they've got the learning disability PDRL. Yeah. So, how it was communicated to me was, Bradford are already putting out more teams in terms of the Rugby League structure than 5 Super League clubs. So, listen, when these gradings come out, people will, listen, like I say, everything is being looked at what the club actually does. And as we know, Bradford are the biggest supported club in the Championship. That's fact, because of the gradings. Listen, I'm not just selling Bradford on it. I'm just making a point. I'm just making a point that these are the top 5 clubs in the Championship based on ROI. Bradford, Featherstone, Toulouse, Widnes, York. Those 5 clearly are ahead of everybody else.
As it stands.
And, we could talk about this on the full 80 minutes, but, when these provisional gradings come out, is 12 months enough to change? I don't think it is, because... Anyway, but look, let's start. It is the Championship. It's 2023. There's going to be loads of IMG, RFL, gradings, pillars, criteria coming out throughout the course of the season. So there we've had the IMG, RFL update on the gradings, the pillars and the criteria and how that is going to affect the Championship season. We're now going to look at the clubs individually. We're going to do it alphabetically. We're going to start with Barrow Raiders up there on the Cumbrian Peninsula. Steve Neal, Paul Carey doing an absolutely fantastic job. We're not just going to look at clubs on the field. We'll focus a little bit off the field as well. And we'll start with Barrow. 20,000 junior season tickets given out to all the local schools, the local businesses. Barrow doing a great job of growing their crowds. And, when you go up there to Craven Park or the John Prestige Stadium, I like to call them their old names, like good old Craven Park. When I went up there a couple of times last year for the Huddersfield game in the Cup and Bradford in the league, it's vibrant. The place is alive. Yeah. You do see that investment and that commitment to growing the crowds at Barrow, reflecting there on the vibrancy on the terraces, and it's looking like Craven Park up there at Barrow is going to be the place to be on a Sunday. We know off the field Steve Neal has had the marquee. They've done the World Cup this winter. Roaring success. They had an event
started
on Boxing
with the
Day.
football in it. They were filling it for all the football games,
and that's good to see. That's good to see. Barrow. They realise, like many Super League, Championship, League One clubs, your stadium can't just be used solely for rugby league 13 times a year, 13, 14 times a year. You have to have other external events, and obviously that is now being rewarded. But let's just have a look at the incomings and the outgoings. We'll start with the outgoings. Obviously the biggest loss for mine is going to be T. Ritson to St. Helens. You called it a couple of months ago, Jimmy. I think it was one of the worst kept secrets in the world of rugby league. Obviously a lot of Barrow fans kept quoting, saying, Jimmy on Show Me the Money on the full 80 minutes, he's saying this player's going. I saw various Barrow personalities say, wait till it's announced. But, you look at the players. Hakim Maloud is obviously gone.
Yeah, another massive loss.
They're the big two, really, aren't they?
Adam Waln, Jordan Waln, the Waln brothers have retired. Jamie Dallimore released. But yeah, if you're looking at the two who are really gonna, if you're gonna
leave holes,
and it's T. Ritson and Hakim Malouda. Just a little bit on Ritson. If he's not in that St. Helens sort of 21, 22, there's an agreement that he can go and play for Barrow. How often that happens during the season, we know St. Helens obviously lost Regan Grace, and perhaps to see T. Ritson as a replacement for Regan Grace, who knows? But certainly, give us your thoughts just quickly. T. Ritson, Hakim Malouda, they're going to be big losses, big holes.
Yeah, that, I believe, was it the right edge? I don't want to get my edges wrong. I think it was the right edge that them two partnership, weren't they? I was there at not Magic Weekend, Summer Bash. They both played really well. I think they played, obviously, when they played really well throughout the season, had some brilliant highlights, didn't they? Games, really tough running, his very powerful style, and then obviously T speaks for himself. I think he got, out of the non-league player highlights, I think T Ritson were about 80% of the rest of them. So, yeah, big losses, but hopefully they've got one or two to replace them, Mick. And
I think sad for the Barrow fans because they are the entertainers. They're the fans' favourites, aren't they? I went up to Barrow last year and took a load of my mates who live up there, and they're not rugby fans, but they were just laughing and loving it. Every time Hakim Malouda gets a ball, he's an entertainer, isn't he? He'll be handing off, spinning around, trying every trick in the book. And for fans, you know, they'll be devastated to lose him. But like Joe says, a couple of players they've brought in, you know, to replace him, proven championship quality. Greg Worthington. You can speak more about, you know, one of their signings, which will be a bit unknown to most championship fans because it'll be the first we've seen of him.
Yeah, I think obviously when this comes out, the weekend he scored 2 tries, and I think they've got an exciting young player on their hands with Rio Corkill. Mick, I think he's was at Saints, was one of the top products coming out of Saints. They thought he was going to be a starter. It didn't quite work out, and then Barrow have snapped him up. So yeah, exciting. I think he's a very exciting player. He's got top end speed. He'll be a centre, so he'll probably be the one replacing Hakim Malouda. Very different player, both same stature, both not the tallest. Rio's not the tallest, but he's powerful, strong and fast. He's brilliant watch. So yeah, and then I think the other one is what that they've recently signed is that Andrew Bullman from Whitehaven. Yeah. He was similar to T. Ritson, probably not the same top end speed, not that free flow, but still extremely fast. Scored some brilliant tries himself.
Yeah, so Big Bash as well. Yeah, I think his parents were sat near me. Yeah, he's certainly one who knows how he can kick on.
Just a quick one on Barrow, and we'll do this for all the clubs. And at the end, we will all predict where we think the championship table and what it's going to look like come season's end. But you look at the outgoings, you look at the incomings. You mentioned Rio Corkill, the young half, Ellis Archer from St Helens, Greg Worthington, obviously a big capture from Halifax Panthers, Ben Evans, of course, from the Bradford Bulls, Connor Saunders. Don't really know much about him, but I just know from speaking to Paul, he's a young lad from Ulverston. Again, that community pathway, absolutely vital up there in Cumbria. Yeah. Would you say Barrow are weaker or stronger based on these incomings and outgoings? We'll do this for every club.
My take on that, and it's probably going to be my recurring theme as we go through every club, is because I think the league as a whole is going to be stronger, you know, and it's going to be a real battle for that top 6, and there's that element of it being more competitive week in, week out. Last year, I was always expecting this is the weekend, it's going to be one step too far for Barrow, and then they won again. Right, now they're really up against it, and they win again. They just kept that momentum going when they had no right to, because the team spirit, arguably as good as anyone's in the league. You know, it's everyone's least favourite away day. They're tough, they do what they do best, and they play to their strengths. You know, I look after Charlie Elmsley there, you know, he's Barrow boy, come through all the ranks. Will Barrow still get those home wins? Yes. Will there still be a really tricky away game? Yes. Do I think they'll do as well as they did last year? No. Because I just think their depth in squad is not the same as others that have strengthened around him. So I just think because it's going to be so much harder to get him back top six, as much as I don't want to say it because I've got a huge soft spot for him, I think they're going to find it harder this year. And as a result, not necessarily they won't be as good, but I think others are stronger, and as a result, I do expect them to finish a bit lower this year.
See, I've got a different take than Jim. I think the league's a lot more competitive, but I wouldn't call it stronger in my view. I don't think it is that strong. So I think, where did they come last year, mate? Was it third or fourth? Fifth. I think they've got a fifth, sixth place. I think it's going to be similar to last year. I think they've got that experience and then brought in actually some young, like you said, Rio, Ellis, Jack Wells from Salford. They brought in some good young players to mix in with that, and I think they could. I think they'll shock people again if that's the way people are thinking. I think they'll shock people again and make top six.
Wow. Well, we'll do our table at the end. If you're asking me personally, I think Akin Melody T. Ritson, that edge,
big losses, isn't it?
That is I don't think you can replace that. I know we've seen Rio Corkle score 2 tries yesterday in that big win over North Wales Crusaders. I think that's a huge blow. That'd be like Bradford in 2003 losing Sean Taylor P and Leza Vanacola. That edge, when it brought so many points and tries last year, that'll be hard to replace.
Yep.
And I think that was at times Barrow's game out of jail card in certain games.
Yeah.
So based on that, I mean, we will do the table and predictions at the end. I've got Barrow in a clutch of about 4 clubs fighting for 5th and 6th.
Yeah.
So they're going to be in the mix, Barrow fans. You will be in the mix. But yes, moving on. Batley Bulldogs, Craig Lingard. Not so many incomings and outgoings, but when you look at the players that the Batley Bulldogs have lost, it kind of does hit home that they are, I wouldn't say it's been dismantled too much, Jimmy, but you'll know where I'm coming from.
Oh, absolutely.
You've lost 2 key players who have been a mainstay to Batley's success of obviously being in the top 4, being in the top 6, getting to that £1 million game last year. Would they have got to the £1 million game without a Luke Cooley or a Tom Gilmore? I'm going to be honest and say no. I know we don't like to say players make teams, but when you look at Tom Gilmore, you look at Luke Cooley, you look at that spine and how they have evolved and really helped Batley in recent years. The outgoings this quickly: Luke Cooley, Perry Whitley, Lewis Collinson, of course, who was at the Dewsbury Rams, and also Perry Whitley yesterday. And Tom Gilmore's got to Widnes, Luke Cooley to Leeds. Luke Cooley and Tom Gilmore, those 2 departures stand out. And I'll say this, you talk about T. Ritson and Akin Melody leaving Barrow.
I know.
These are 2 equally big, pivotal players to the success of the Batley Bulldogs.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that we're doing them 2 side by side. I've had the same conversations for months now. These are the 2 clubs, Barrow and Batley, that I think they have lost, as you've just said, those key players. Write them off at your peril. We know better than to write Batley off, but they're so key. And Gilmore especially, Gilmore, top 3 standout championship halves, takes them round. But they have got the coach, who we can't say enough good things about.
Listen,
they've got,
when you talk about Moneyball and what Craig Lingard's done and putting that team together on that budget.
Yeah, he probably needs a massive shout out. To be fair to what he did last year, utterly unbelievable. If you said at the start of the season, that playoff final, you'd be laughed at. One of them, Leicester City, that's as big as Leicester City winning the league. Their squad and what the money that squad's on, for them to do that is brilliant. So well done Batley, well done Craig Lingard. Like I said, I think I've given plenty of texts and rang him myself and went, that's amazing. We're not super close, but I still give him the thing because I think how amazing of a coach. He's one of the unsung heroes of Championship Rugby and probably deserves the round of applause, doesn't he?
Well, I got criticised because I think it was about 220 grand if you included the coaching staff. A lot of them are part-time, like Craig himself is part-time. Yeah. The coaching staff and the players, 220 grand. And that has got you to £1 million game where you are playing the Lee Centurions, who we know were spending 1.4, 1.5 last year in the Championship. It's the story of the underdog.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying. You can't write him off because Lingard is proven his quality. any team that's got Dane Manning in has got a chance.
Correct.
But I just, for the same reasons as Barrow, I feel that other teams have strengthened so much, it's going to be so much harder for Batley this year. And I do, again, like Barrow, I think they're going to be in that chasing pack to get in the playoffs. You know, I feel that they've got a lot to do to with a smaller squad, not quite as much depth as others. Losing Gilmore massive, Hooley nearly as significant, but I'm sure there's a good chance they'll prove me wrong.
Well, if you go through it, who've they replaced Luke Hooley with?
Josh Woods from Newcastle.
Well, he'll be replacing Tom Gilmore, won't he?
Sorry,
Elliot Keir from Bradford.
Elliot Keir or Aidan McGowan, I believe, one of the two, won't it? Depending on how fit. I think they need. Elliot's had some brilliant moments, hasn't he, the past couple of seasons. Probably.
Elliot Keir's played with Bradford's halfback situation last year. He was in the R's. Keir's played centre, wing, fullback. So, you know, Elliot Keir brings that utility value. So, yeah.
I think my take is Aidan McGowan will be fullback. Yeah. No doubt about it. Elliot Keir will be there. He's a fireman, isn't he? He'll be there to support when needed as a utility back. I thought you'd said about Gilmore, and Josh Woods coming into.
Well, they need Aidan McGowan to be that player, then, don't they? Because obviously we know how pivotal Luke Hooley was to the team. Brilliant player, one of the players of the year. They need Aidan to really be that good, and then obviously Josh Woods. Would you say, I don't want to be too harsh, but probably needs a bounce back year? Obviously Newcastle struggled last year. I don't think they were screaming his name saying, oh, he's the one amazing. I think the whole team just struggled. Maybe a new environment would be good for him. We can get back to some of the form that we know he is capable of. And then obviously they need Sammy Kabula again, also someone. I think it's Josh and Sammy Kabula. I think they need these two lads to really step up and be the players everyone not wants them to be, but obviously after, you'd say probably respectively 2 rougher seasons in their career, can they bounce back and have an amazing year? I think Batley will need them to be anywhere near that top 4 or 5 conversation. Because Tom Gilmore, Jimmy said Tom Gilmore, Luke Hooley, just such big losses.
The worry for me with Sammy Kabula is he went to Newcastle and he didn't play, and then he's gone to Bradford and he's not played. Because of injury, so you've had 2 injury-prone seasons, so there'll be question marks over that. Keegan Hurst coming back out of retirement, that is an interesting one. If you get the Keegan Hurst of the John Keir Batley era, where he would literally charge the ball in a track 4 and smuggle the ball out, then that is a very useful asset to have. Yeah. I think defences have smarted up a lot since then, so they realise what is going to be happening. But yeah, I tend to agree with you, Jimmy, and that's my own thought process in that. Batley and Barrow, who we're doing this in alphabetical, it's just coincidental, one comes after the other. They're probably the 2 of the most vulnerable in terms of preserving their top 6 status for this current season. Yeah.
Well,
but exciting. Aidan McGowan, the glimpses we saw of him last year, one game springs to mind on the Monday night game. He's going to be really exciting, and it's no disrespect to Josh Woods at all. It's just
playing it safe, Agent. He's playing it very safe.
I'm being very specific here. Tom Gilmore's boots are massive, and so it's more. It's not Josh Woods. It's more Gilmore was huge, absolutely 100%. Huge.
And just a quick on Batley and the off field. They're doing the £10 ticket, so £130 season tickets. Kevin Nichols, he's hoping to see Mount Pleasant, packed, very similar to what Barrow were doing. Fantastic. So Kevin, thumbs up, and
brilliant.
And I think I'm there. I've got my radio schedule because we had a West Yorkshire Radio where we do the commentary. What I do on a Sunday for the Championship. We had a meeting last week and we were looking at obviously there's a contract to do the Bradford games, but with Bradford playing a lot of Fridays and Mondays, there's a lot of Sunday games where I'm doing a couple of Batley games early doors. I think the first Batley game I do is Batley versus Keighley. So yeah, I'm looking forward to going there. I mean, Batley Keighley, wow, that should be a great game. That'd be a great game, yeah. That's a Sunday because I think Bradford play Featherstone or York on the Monday. But yes, I'm looking forward to going to Mount Pleasant. And you know what? I'm looking forward to going to a lot of these clubs, as we're going to find out when we go through each one. A lot of them are doing special offers, trying to attract new fans because one common theme when I've been speaking to these CEOs, and I've got a meeting later on this week with Dave Gratian, the new owner of Halifax Panthers, is if you can't rest on your laurels, and for big clubs like Halifax, Bradford, London as well, where in the past they've had 10, 15,000 fans in, if you're not going to attract the lapsed fans, you need to go and attract a new audience. So, hopefully these ticket incentives pay dividends and we see a real record year, with the stadiums full. Let's move on then to the third championship club.
Sparkle in your eyes.
Here, listen, I'm doing this independent. The Bradford Bulls, I don't think, well, to be fair, there's a hell of a lot of incomings and outgoings.
It's a different team, isn't it? It's a completely
so
different
17
team.
players left the Bradford Bulls. 12 have come in at this moment in time. Just quickly, we'll start on the outgoings. Ben Evans to Barrow, Dan Fleming to Featherstone, Steve Crossley, Sam Hallis to Hunslet, Aaron Murphy and Matty Dawson-Jones to Sheffield, Tom Doyle, a little bit on that, to Keighley. Joe Burton's gone to Hunslet. Ant Walker's joined John Keir at Widnes. Elliot Keir, as we said, has gone to Batley. Rhys Evans, the brother of Ben, has retired sadly through injury. Elliot Hall has gone to Doncaster. Sammy Kabula gone to Batley. Ryan Miller's gone to Widnes. Dan McGrath, one of your young players, gone to Hunslet. And Kobe Nicole has gone to Cornwall. Dalton Desmond Walker did sign from Keighley, but Dalton Desmond Walker left the club on compassionate grounds and he's returned to Australia. So his sort of time in this country has come to an end. So
where to start
with Bradford, because there's a lot that's going on, and there's still a lot going on in the background. But we'll start with the incomings. Chester Butler, of course, was on loan from Huddersfield last year. Chester Butler made that permanent. Ben Blackmore
on the back of a great year.
Yeah. Ben Blackmore from Dewsbury, an interesting one.
Interesting.
Tom Holmes, who we saw for the first time yesterday against Dewsbury, and he had a wow of a game. He joined from Sheffield. Brad Foster London, Jack Walker Leeds. Listen, look, when you're looking at this, there's 3 or 4 players who really stick out for Bradford's recruitment, and I know it's hard because there's that many, but Tom Holmes, Jack Walker, you look at Michael Lawrence from Huddersfield, and of course Bodine Thompson from Leeds. On the face of it, Bradford had to do something about the recruitment because sadly the last couple of years it's not been good enough. And I think last season's performances, they were very half-assed, there was very less energy. You'd probably say there was no heart and passion at times. And, I said this privately to Mark Dunning and Brian Noble and people at the club, probably for the first time. It's no secret I am a Bradford fan. I am a Bradfordian. I've grown up on the terraces at Odsall. But look, ultimately I love rugby league and I want every club to be successful and I want everybody to grow the sport. But for the first time, and I even include the Bradford Northern years when you're having to go to Hulkingston Rovers in 1992 to preserve your championship status. Last year is by far the worst I've ever felt as a Bradford fan covering that club. There was a real sense of disenfranchised between the fan base and the club because you saw the players putting in the half-assed performances, and on the back of that, Mark Dunning has had to reel the axe, and rightly so. You've had 17 players depart, 12 have come in. I keep getting asked about recruitment. Yes, Mark's got his finger on the pulse for 2 props, and now Sam Scott's retired, so there's going to be a back rower coming in. The visa for Kevin Appo is being fast-tracked, so hopefully Kevin will be here for the Leeds game.
Right.
That's the estimate. But in terms of that, Jimmy Joe, when you look at Bradford, and obviously last season change had to happen, Bradford considerably stronger than last year.
Well, you've got to say so, haven't you? I think so. I think you've got to say so. I think the big question mark is, probably the honest truth is, can them players you mentioned stay on the pitch? Obviously, Wacker, our very good friends, had some injuries. We hope now all the news is that he's ready to go. He's fine. He's completely over his injuries. So can he have a full season playing? Michael Lawrence, Badine Thompson, not as much injury record, but just age, to be honest. They're in the final couple of years really going on now. So I think, can they stay on the pitch and play a full season? So I think if you get them lads playing the best as they can for as much of the season as possible. Well, yeah, they're very, very improved, haven't they? Wouldn't you say? I think there's a couple of big losses, but probably your one that probably hurts you more than anything is Thomas Doyle going over the pond to your rivals Keighley. going the long distance.
It's interesting is the Tom Doyle situation, and whether I'm breaking any code by saying this. Basically what happened with Tom Doyle was he was made an offer by the Bradford Bulls. Keighley bettered that quite considerably.
Yeah.
And ultimately, by the time Bradford had matched the Keighley offer, Tom had obviously decided to go to Keighley. And that for me is a crying shame, in that original offer obviously didn't meet Tom's expectations, and obviously we know it's part-time rugby league, and I know Tom really well, and Tom has got a very good job outside of the sport, and that does stick out quite rightly. You've got a homegrown player who's come through. I mean, I've said it from day one when he was in the academy. I look at Tom Doyle and I do see a very youthful Terry Newton in him, in that style of play how Terry Newton used to play. Rest in peace, Terry. But yeah, Tom Doyle, obviously, it's no secret Bradford probably mishandled that contract negotiations. I'll say that here now.
I mean, I'll have a different take on that. I think it's unfortunate you lost him, but I think it was very much a timing thing. From my knowledge, I don't think Bradford's offer was terrible. No. And I think Keighley at the time were starting their business very early and were in a situation where they could make a very, very good offer. And it clearly became a bit of a no-brainer. So I just think that's really unfortunate at the time. It would be interesting had Bradford done, somehow been able to get to their recruitment stage that they're at now. Would Doyle have been like, actually, no disrespect to Keighley, but I quite fancy being part of his team. But it's timing, Bradford were very late in the day. Yeah. Keighley were very early.
Yes.
And so it's an unfortunate one. If I was a Bradford fan, would I be upset? Yes. Would I be that concerned seeing the options you've got now, using Lily as a 9, perhaps using Patton as a 9? Probably not. I'd be very happy with how it's ended up, although I always gutted to see, a young potential superstar go to your arch rivals.
I think the only nightmare about it is that he's not gone Super League, hasn't he? I think the talk was Tommy Doyle was off to Super League from.
I know Wigan were big fans.
Yeah, I think there are quite a few Super League clubs, so I think your one hope would have been that he would have gone Super League rather than a rival club. But it is what it is. Like you said, you've strengthened. You've got Tom Holmes now, who also could be a hooker option, played hooker at Sheffield. So you've got 3 halves / hookers that can jump in, and then obviously you've got a. If he can keep fit, you've got a megastar in obviously Jack Walker, and you've got one of the best fullbacks in Super League when he's on. Even in his 3 game, he played 5 games at Hull, got 3 man of the matches, and you've got him all season, Mick. So I think if as long as Wacker's up, you have to have strengthened.
The challenge conundrum for Mark Donning is plain and simply: you've got Det Patton, you've got Jordan Lilly, you've got Tom Holmes, and you've got Miles Lawford.
Yeah.
4 into 2 doesn't go. I spoke to Jordan after the game. Jordan's just fully committed. he's happy to play 9. If that means he gets in that team or he's on the bench, he's in part of that 17. Yeah. Jordan Lilly happy evolving from 7 into a 9. Well, he played a bit of 13 as well yesterday. But what's interesting is obviously Det Patton. He'll be ready for the Whitehaven game because he's got one. He misses. In fact, he's back against Huddersfield. He missed yesterday, so he's back now for Huddersfield on Sunday. And obviously, I think Mark Dunning, out of all the Championship coaches, he's probably the most blessed in that spine because
totally.
What I saw yesterday, and you were there yesterday, Jimmy, just quickly, Miles Lawford, Tom Holmes. After what I saw in that first half, if I am Mark Dunning, I am not breaking that up. I am not breaking that up until one of them has a poor performance. And I know you can argue it's a League One team, Dewsbury, but look, League One Dewsbury will be up there challenging at the top.
Totally, yeah. And I totally agree with you. I thought Miles Lawford yesterday was outstanding, just brilliant. I think I was in and amongst, between the Dewsbury and Bradford fans. I bet Bradford fans today are the happiest they've been in 12 months, 18 months, if not longer, because there was so many positives to take out of yesterday. We'll go on to a few of the others in a minute, but for many, they might be thinking we've got Pat and Lily and Tom Holmes to mix around. What can we do? What's going to be the best partnership? We know Pat and Lily doesn't work, so how do we work it? I'd be talking about Miles Lawford on a level, near enough on a level from what I saw. The bits I've seen before, he was that good yesterday and that exciting. So they're good. My take on Bradford is, if you look at the outs, there's some quality players who've gone there. You know, there's some quality players. But we know from last year, it didn't work for different reasons. So this change was necessary. It was concerning as summer drifted by. You know, I took a couple of lads there earlier on in the day. They're all like, who else is coming? What's going on? Is it going to happen? And then the snowball built and built and built, and it's left you,
from Jack Walker, wasn't it? When Jack Walker signed, I think it shows to most Championship clubs, doesn't it, that when you get that top player in, other players want to join, and that's what's happened.
Well, let's not beat about the bush. Jack Walker is the best fullback in the Championship this year.
Totally.
I'm not just saying that because of the show me the money player. I mean, we saw glimpses yesterday. Muddy, heavy pitch, he's just gliding. And he's going 50 metres.
And again, it's no disrespect to anyone else. He's just he's a level above.
Well, he's one of the best Super League fullbacks when he was fit. Even like I said, even in his few games at Hull, he got 3 man of the matches. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. After 2 seasons injured, he ripped it up at Hull, and then sadly
he will do what T. Ritson did for Barrow last year. I'll say it now. If I'm making a big bold prediction, Jack Walker scores 25 plus tries for Bradford this year. If he stays fit.
Every chance, yeah. And yeah, so to finish my point, I think for me, you're undoubtedly stronger. The team spirit seems way better. You know, there's going to be the culture's changed. There's going to be slightly different. I think it's important. You've got a real tough start to the season. You've got some big names coming up quite early on. The Widnes game, massive. So you do need that good start because you don't want to start going down that negativity, and the longer you can keep it positive and get to that good start, I see you being right up there in that top 6 and challenging for, you know, even that 3rd, 4th spot. If you keep these players fit, I've got to give a mention to the 2 Brads, Brad England, Brad Foster. Yesterday I thought were superb, and you're looking at some names here which no one's going to be wanting to play Bradford if you've got 17 fit.
Your one thing, which isn't a negative, obviously it's a good issue to have, but probably needs to be said, like we've said about the halves, is can you keep everyone happy? I know when some squads have too much depth in a position, I know in other teams, and just in all of sport, when someone has too many options, sometimes it can. So if Mark can get that balance right, you could even get top 2, mate. You know what I mean? With the talent you've got, you could do anything really. But if Mark gets that balance right between all the halves, which can be difficult because there's a lot of big characters there. I think they're all big characters, aren't they? They're all lads who want to play every week. Miles arguably could be even the best one. No disrespect to the others, but Miles is one of the best upcoming halfbacks in that he ripped it up
in the country.
In Yorkshire v Lancashire. He won one of the standout halves all season, and then in the Origin game as well. So you've got that's your only issue. I see
the one issue for me is the Odsal situation. You know, 4 wins at home last year is unacceptable. We know Odsal is a small dimension. We know it's above minimum standards, but crucially, Mark Dunning, Brian Noble, Lee Greenwood, they have to, and that's the big monkey on the back, they have to get Bradford performing and winning games at Odsal and somehow turning Odsal back into a fortress.
Absolutely.
It can't be an easy pick. You can't have Whitehaven come and win, you can't have London come and win. No disrespect to London and Whitehaven, but it was just the ease of victory in which, you know, they hurt Bradford in how they played Odsal, how Bradford should have been playing on Odsal. And, you know, it's no secret when you are restricted in terms of throwing the ball out, it is going to be a forward-oriented game down the middle, which is why I think Michael Lawrence, Bodine Thompson, Jordan Baldwinson, of course, who he missed yesterday with an illness, but he'll be back this weekend. I think it's imperative you do get those forwards with that role on. But look, Bradford, I think we'll all agree, significantly stronger than last year. And yes, interesting where we place them at the end of end of this. But yes, in definitely in the mix, top 6. Right, we're moving on. Featherstone Rovers, who had a very good win over Castleford in the pre-season fixture on Boxing Day. I know Castleford, it was a very youthful Castleford side, but look, Sean Long and Leon Price at Featherstone Rovers will do the outgoings first. Ben Helliwell's gone to Salford. Adam Cuthbertson obviously retired. Jesse Senna-Lefoe's gone to Sheffield. Callum Fields gone and joined John Keir at Widnes. Jacob Doyle gone to Dewsbury Rams. Morgan Smith, of course, has stepped up and gone to Wakefield Trinity. And Louis McConnell and Betfred have gone to Doncaster. On the incomings, Chris Hankinson from Toulouse. Thomas Lacans, the young half who was playing at Newcastle last year. He predominantly comes from a rugby union background. Elijah Taylor, Riley Dean, another young player from Warrington. Caleb Aikins, Menzier. Kyle Evans, of course, who was available. I know Halifax and Bradford were looking at Kyle Evans. In the end, Kyle Evans has decided on Featherstone. And Brad Day from Newcastle Thunder. I spoke to Mark Campbell a couple of weeks back, and he said, watch this space, we're comfortable, but we're still looking. So, I'm led to believe when this January sale effectively takes place, which some of the championship coaches keep saying, basically what they're saying, the championship coaches like Sean Long, Mark Dunning, Simon Griggs at Halifax, what they're saying is when the Super League clubs have started their pre-season games and they get a better idea of where the players are fitness-wise, there will be a sort of little bit of a cull in terms of players that thought they might have been in and around that 21, 22 and not, and then they're realising they don't just want to be playing for Wigan, St Helens, Leeds reserves. They'd rather go down to the Championship. So that's what I mean by this term January sale. It's not so much a sale, it's more of a January cull, where
a January loan for the season.
Yeah, a January loan for the season where the Super League clubs, realise, and players in their own head mindset realise they're not happy playing reserves at Super League level. They might as well drop down and join a really competitive and vibrant championship competition. Featherstone Rovers, looking at that, Jimmy, I've got to be brutally honest, I'm going to probably say straight down the middle, although I'd probably say maybe 5%, a little bit weaker.
Where's your weaker there, Mick? To be fair, I think...
Well, I think losing Morgan Smith is a huge loss. I think losing... it's a shame. I could almost hear Craig coming out of the kitchen. He wants to come on here, Craig, now and fight the point of how influential Morgan Smith is. But, look, very much like for like, Joe. Very much like for like. Featherstone Rovers, they will be there challenging Toulouse. They will be there right at the top end of the table. There is no secret about that. The amount of work, what Mark Campbell has done in terms of investing and bringing Sean Long in, and he's brought his old partner in crime, his St Helens halfback partner.
They're probably some of the biggest incomings, aren't they?
Chris Hankinson.
No, I mean of the coaches, Sean Long,
Leon Price.
That's probably the big news.
I don't mind saying this, Joe. That could be a recipe for disaster. Sean Long and Leon Price. I don't mind saying that.
Could work either way, couldn't it?
But I don't think we're going to get the Sean Long and Leon Price as rugby players off out nightclubbing and partying.
Well,
I think
you won't not. You won't not.
It's clearly Sean and Leon have mellowed, but look, Leon's a good friend of mine, and I wish him all the best. But
can I ask one thing? Riley Jacks, I thought he'd gone home. He's not on the outgoings list. He didn't feature in the friendly. I thought I'd seen that he'd left. I'm putting you on the spot here. Is he still there?
I wouldn't know off the top of my head.
He's still there, yeah.
He's still there?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Because, based on this, he still is. Because my concern about Featherstone, the exact same mindset as you. Again.
I think Morgan Smith is a big loss.
I do.
He got 20 plus tries.
Morgan can play 9, he can play in the halves.
And that's
he got 20 plus tries at half, didn't he? He had a brilliant year.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I'm so surprised Wakefield coming through.
I think overall, player roster-wise, I'd have him as a little bit weaker
Like I said, 5%.
Very slightly.
Very slightly weaker.
And it's mainly based on Morgan Smith.
Yeah.
Their pack gets a little bit older. What they do have is an unbelievable selection of fullbacks, and the coaching team coming in, could they, one way or another. I think they're the team to beat in terms of finishing top. I think overall, they are still setting the standard. We'll get on to Toulouse, but, that's going for it now. I think that's where they are. But going back to my earlier point, which I'll reiterate time and time again, I think the top 4, 6, 8 teams are so much better. I expect Fev to lose more games this year. I do not expect them to be getting those as many comfortable wins. I think we're going to have to work harder week in, week out. And this will be the same for every team. I envisage so many close games, that will take its toll. And I think they're still the favourites to come top, but it's not going to be easy.
You've got Featherstone favourites?
To come top of the league, yeah, I do.
I'm looking at this and you know what? Apart from Morgan Smith, they need to replace the arse. So they've got Riley.
In.
I wouldn't put Riley on the same as Morgan, but they've got
Thomas Lackans.
They plays in the
halves.
Yeah, and I don't know enough about him, so that's why I'm being a bit tentative, because I haven't seen enough to have an opinion.
But the rest of the positions, I think they could have strengthened. Brad Day, brilliant player. Obviously, I think capturing Kyle Evans, we did that. Like I said, a lot of clubs were after him from Wakey. He chose fair enough. So we were all...
Just a little bit on Kyle Evans, Joe.
Yeah.
A lot's been made about his lack of experience in rugby league, and I don't blame Featherstone for doing it. The announcement was the try he scored against Tonga in the World Cup at St Helens, which was a fantastic try. Is he a question mark over him? I'm just putting my journalist head on here.
From all the reports from what some Wakefield players have told me.
Is he a show me player?
He is, Mick. I work close. No, yeah, he's a show me.
He's a show me. He's a show me player.
He's a show me player, but yeah, I work very closely with him. Helped him get the.
Just how close were Bradford Halifax to getting him, or was it always going to be a case of?
I think one of the clubs pretty close. Yeah, I think one of them, but no, I think he had his mindset on Feb. I think he wants to do well. I think he wanted to ideally probably stay around the Super League level. Obviously, things happen that he couldn't, so he's gone probably top end champ, and I think he wants to win the league. Mate, to be honest, I think he wants to go and win the league and show. Like you said, he is a bit older now, so he's probably not got as many years as some of the other lads. So I think he wants to win, and he wants to win now. And I think from all the reports coming out of Wakefield, is the players they were sad to see him go, and and obviously, as you saw in the World Cup, it could be an extremely good purchase for Featherstone.
You made a good point, Jimmy, about the fullback situation. You're going Callum Aikins or Brandon Pickersgill. You talk about Bradford probably being the strongest championship club for your halfbacks. You've got Featherstone with the fullback conundrum. Yeah. And I'm a big Brandon Pickersgill fan.
Yeah, totally agree. So it is. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like there's a few clubs where they've got an awful lot of strength in one department, and it's just going to be so interesting. The one I want to mention, and probably someone who I'm most excited about seeing throughout the whole league, is a lad that I actually put in my World Cup squad if we go back 10 weeks, and that's Mackenzie Yeh.
Yeah, you did.
So I loved everything I saw of him in that World Cup. At championship level, he could be unbelievable. If he takes to the cold weather and the winter mud, he will come the firmer ground. He'll be bulldozing players out of the way. He's just another level. On the international level, I thought he was another level. So he could be absolutely anything at champ level.
You surprised the Super League club didn't go in for him?
I think they did. Yeah, I think they did. I believe so. So I was surprised to see him not be signed by a Super League club. Yeah.
I generally think apart from Morgan, they probably need to sort out their hours. Obviously, apart from that, they got obviously Jonathan Ford. He played the last game of the season, didn't he, instead of Morgan? So we obviously prefer Morgan as a show me player, and I wasn't whacking it there. Oh, was that
200 so far?
Oh, does it?
For those listening on Spotify and iTunes, that was Joe. Punching the table, getting excited.
I didn't even punch it, did I? I didn't think I did.
It was doing the old jockey, yeah.
But yeah, I think, other than Morgan, which, like I said, they got Jonathan Ford halfway through the season, he ended up playing the last game. I think they've actually strengthened. They've lost the other two names, really. I'd say Ben Halliwell, brilliant player. Jesse Senna-Lefeo had a pretty good year overall. I don't think anywhere else they're sad that they've lost many players. So I think they could have strengthened, Mick.
Well, Joe's saying they've strengthened. I've gone 5% less. Jimmy's gone slightly less. So ultimately, we're agreeing they will be as strong as they were, which was obviously where they finished up the table. We're moving on to the Halifax Panthers, the Shea. Simon Grix, of course, the head coach there, and all change at Halifax. A new board of directors. Dave Grayson back, a good friend of mine. So good to see Dave and Halifax doing good things in the community. Outgoings then, Joe Arundel, of course, the signing at Bradford a couple of weeks ago. Corey Aston's gone to Sheffield with Titus Guaze. Elliot Morris at Dewsbury, who played against Bradford yesterday. Matt Garside, of course, has gone to Dewsbury as well. Joe Martin has retired, and Brad Knowles has also left the club. In terms of incomings, Will Mayer, Aribi Doro, Ryan King, Ben Foster, Tom Inman, Jake Mason, and Nick Rawsthorne. In terms of those players there, I mean, we'll talk a bit about Will Mayer, obviously a show-me player. I tell you what, I am hearing so much good things about Jake Mason.
Well, you two popped him in your... This is for Jake. You two popped him in the World Cup team.
It was me.
And me.
Both of you.
It was.
You had
me.
I had the famous debate. I had the famous debate argument with your dad.
Yeah, it was
me?
both
What
of
do you
you.
mean?
against
Yeah,
me.
as well.
we were together.
Listen, I had Jake. Listen, Jake Mason.
can't remember that.
You've dropped me, Rick.
Sorry, Joe.
We teamed up.
You both had a
think-
massive argument with Craig over Jake Mason because he scored. Was it 4 tries or hat trick?
He scored a hat trick, and interestingly, he turned Lachlan Walmsley inside out in that game at Kingston Park in Newcastle. And interestingly, yesterday against Wakefield, Mason set up a great try for Walmsley down that left edge.
Little offload,
Listen, look, I'm hearing good things. I speak to a lot of the Halifax players. They're just saying he's come in, he's been a revelation. You watch him. Oof. They're saying if he doesn't score 20 tries, he'll have 20 try assists minimum.
And is he going to be playing inside? Is that how you think he's shaping up? He's going to be.
Yeah, he's going to be.
He'll have the 3 or 4 shirt, and he'll be inside Lachlan, who's one of the most dangerous edges in the league.
So we're talking about fullbacks. We're talking about halfbacks. I'm calling it now, and I was building up to this because I'm thinking when are Halifax coming on? Halifax, that edge of Jake Mason and Lachlan Walmsley, you watch them go. Every championship coach who's watching this, I'm sure they're already thinking, right, we need to do his homework. Not this because I'm saying it, because you've got to look at the types of players they are. And we saw what Lachlan Walmsley, what he did last year with his 20 plus tries. We saw what he did a few seasons ago when he was at Whitehaven, when he first come on the scene. A good background at South Sydney Rabbitohs. Jake Mason, of course, has been playing with Sunshine Coast Falcons. Relatively unknown until this World Cup.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about the World Cups when they come over in this country. The fans in the flesh go and they're like, wow, would Halifax have signed him if he hadn't have done what he'd done against Scotland. At Kingston Park? Probably not, but because he had that man of the match display and the athleticism, the skill set, that offload. Listen, Halifax... we've got to say... Tom
Inman as well from York, who finished the season like a house on fire, brilliant final few games.
I think Halifax has strengthened. I honestly do. Obviously in the outgoings, that's not mentioned. Greg Worthington, of course, going to Barrow. But listen, if you're telling me Greg Worthington, Jake Mason, sorry Greg, I'm taking Jake all day long. So for me, when you look at the face of it, where I think Halifax might struggle a little bit is in the halves, because obviously Corey Aston has gone to Sheffield because he was behind Joe Keys and Lewis Shoufray. And I'm a very good family friend of Joe Keys and his dad John Keys, who obviously works at London Broncos. Joe played pretty much every game last season, which is unheard of because Joe had so many medical problems at Bradford, at London, so that is really good to see Joe Keys back to doing what he does best. And Joe is one of those ultimate confidence types of player. If everything's going right, He will burn. He will, he will, he could be back in Super League, Joe Keys, if he keeps these performances up. My worry is, and I know they've signed Kai Morgan from Leeds.
Yeah,
that's just a 2-week loan, though.
Recent.
It's like
I got told it was more of a dip your toes in, have a feel. His mum is the general manager at Halifax, Sarah, who I know really well. Sarah, if you're watching
you've claimed
this,
to know a lot of people in this short show. I think you've
they
dropped
love
in.
They love me. Listen,
You've got a lot of people.
Can I just say something, Joe? When I turn up at these championship
How many family friends do you have, Mick?
Kevin Nichols at Dewsbury, how
On
you
the
doing,
list here,
mate?
you've got 10 already.
Steve Neal at Barrow, he's like, oh, Mick's here. I go to Halifax, Sarah's like, oh, it's you again, is it, Glenn? But no, listen, the championship, it's where
You
it's
are
where
Mr. Championship, Mick Gledel.
No, look. I'm only in the championship because Bradford are there. Once Bradford go up through grading, I'm on it. No, but joking aside, I think Halifax, if they do manage to, obviously Kai Morgan, that gives them a bit of reassurance there. And nobody wants to see players injured, but it's that proverbial, if they were to have an injury to Lewis Jouffre or Joe Keys, that's where I think they're probably a little bit weak. But across the board, I do think they have improved, and there's some exciting things happening at the Shea. Jimmy, you can tell us a bit about... Tom. Joe, you were telling us about Tom Inman from York and Will Mayer from Wilkinson Rovers.
Show me, boys.
Yeah, Will Mayer, a big capture, a big signing, big investment from the club.
Yeah, I think Dad said in his not ins and outs, in his transfer show. I think for Will it was just inside the deal. I think it was just a matter of Will wanting to be the starter / not a star, but a definite starter, week in, week out, big player on the team. And I think he'll do this in Halifax. I think it was a big catch for them. I think the whole club were happy they got Will. Will's ready to go rock and roll in Halifax. I think another one that we missed over there is Ryan King. Ryan King, arguably, Whitehaven's best player last year. One of their best players last year. Had a good year, scored some good tries, tough running, and I think that's another big signing. So to be fair, you'd probably say these lads have strengthened as well.
I've got to be honest, looking at it like for like you say, and Ryan King as well, we need to give him some toffee for what he did with Whitehaven.
Had a brilliant
I think
year.
Simon Griggs has done well. One area where I probably think, and I understand the reasons why Titus Guaze left Halifax, ultimately it did come down to money. Titus put too much of a valuation on his deal, and obviously Halifax said, no, we've got to live within our means. This is what we're giving you. And obviously he's gone for more money. At Sheffield, I do feel that they will miss Titus Guaze. There were times last season in those tight, close games where Guaze has come off that bench and he has ultimately provided that punch. I can't remember. He did it in 2 games in quick succession. Two of the commentaries I did last year, and he ended up getting the man of the match in one of the games. And I do feel Titus Guaze will be a little bit of a loss for Halifax, but
that leads me on to my take, because I'm not going to say they're weaker, but I don't necessarily think they're stronger. And for that reason, like you touched on, Corey and Titus, I think, are huge losses.
Yes.
Corey didn't play.
He didn't play much at all. But
that's why he's left, Joe. Because
obviously. How can that be a big loss if he's not playing?
I'm going to tell you.
Hear him out.
I'm going to tell you, because
it's going down my train of thought.
I think
Jouffre get injured, they're buggered.
Well, there you go. I think Joe Keys to do another full season like that would be amazing, but realistically, again, I think this year more than ever it's going to be about depth of squad, and not having Corey, who is a top championship half, as backup. I know from what Guaze is doing at Sheffield, they're unbelievably excited about what they've got, and Halifax devastated to lose him. So I think that Halifax, a bit like what I've said about Fev, I'm not saying they've weakened, but when you put it into context of how strong other teams are going to be, I think they'll lose more games this year than we did last year. That's how I'm viewing it. Do I think I've still got them as a top 4 team, but I think we'll lose more games than we did last year.
Yeah, but that's obvious. Well, that's not a bad. Yeah, but that's every team, because it is a closer league, Right,
well, you said before you disagreed and you thought it wasn't a stronger league. So
yeah, but it's more competitive, not stronger. It's not a stronger league overall, but it's going to be miles more competitive.
Well, that's my take on it. I think
Yeah.
Halifax last year were the third best team, and even though it took them a little while to rise to the top, I thought we're always going to due to their depth in squad. I'm not sure the depth's quite the same relative to others. I've still got them up there, but I expect to see them lose more.
I think they're a little bit weaker in the forwards, but they're certainly strengthened
outside
on the
backs.
edges. Yeah,
I totally
I'm
agree.
really, like I say, I can't say it enough times.
Where have they weakened, Mick? Where have they weakened? Well, both of you say where.
I'm not saying this just because of Jimmy.
weakened.
I saw Titus Quasi, and I'm not just saying one player makes a team, but I'm not saying. Hear me out. I've said they've strengthened. I'm just saying an area where I think they've weakened is obviously in the lack of half-back cover, losing Titus Quasi because of what I saw him do last season. And I know from speaking to a lot of my friends, I've got more friends who are Halifax fans than Bradford fans. Yeah. They're absolutely devastated in losing Titus Quasi. And I think it'll probably show in those tight games. Where they've strengthened is clear as day, Joe. Jake Mays and Lachlan Walmsley having that edge.
But then, have we got Titus above Will Meyer? Is that, I'm chucking that one on you?
Yes, I have.
Go on, Jim.
Just be honest, Jimmy.
Will Mayer, we haven't seen him at championship level. So
take your show me badge off and throw it in corner.
Will Mayer could do anything. But Titus Quasi, for me, is proven as one of the best in the championship. And from what I've heard he's doing, physically, it's incredible. He's going to be, if he avoids injuries, a massive player throughout the league. So we're not talking massive. There's nothing really to disagree on. I think subtly, relative to the other teams, they're going to find it a little bit harder, but I still expect him to be up there.
There you go. One of my good friends, Brad Gamester, he's a massive Titus Quasi fan. He'll watch this and he'll be saying, Jimmy, sort him a signed shirt out. No, I'm only joking. But
it's not one of our lads, sadly.
No, look, we've done Halifax now. I've got them not significantly strengthened. I've got them slightly strengthened.
Yeah.
Look, I've got them slightly weaker compared to the other teams. I think they'll find it a bit harder, but I've still got them as a top four.
Yeah, but when we come to the predictions at the end, I'll be honest, I've got Halifax in the top four.
Yeah.
Right, we're moving on to the Keighley Cougars, an
go.
up and coming club. What they have done at Cougar Park is nothing short of inspirational. Not just like on the field with the recruitment, you look at off field, what they're doing with everything. They do the Pride Days, they're really inclusive, they're really trying to recapture the Cougar Mania, the spirit of 93, 94, and it does appear to be working. I can't wait for that Keighley versus Bradford game. I think that's my first trip to Cougar Park this season, because obviously the Batley Keighley game I'm covering is at Batley. But I can't wait to see Cougar Park, 4,000 or 5,000 fans there, especially if Keighley and Bradford are up at the top. Listen, that'll be one of the championship games of the season. In terms of on the field then, Reece Lovegrove, wow, let's just start. We'll start with the players that have come in. Luke Gale, Hull FC, Mark Ione, Lee Leopards, Robbie Story, Ben Crooks, Ellis Robson, Brad Walker, Lloyd Roby.
Don't miss
Tom
out Sid
Doyle.
just because you didn't fancy pronouncing it.
Sid Adebayo.
Yeah, Adebayo from Wakefield. Sorry, I was looking at Robbie Story's name. Tom Doyle, of course, from Bradford, a big capture.
Lloyd Roby
again
great
from
season.
Widnes Vikings. You know, a great player at championship level. Brad Walker, Ellis Robson, of course, Ben Crooks. You know, listen, it's no secret. We knew probably about a third into last season. I'd say you can question me on this, Jimmy, but I started getting murmurs probably a third way into the League One last season when Keighley were undefeated after about 8 games.
It's when they beat Swinton.
Yeah, when they beat Swinton, I was getting a lot of feelers from the Keighley club. You know, look, we genuinely think we're going up, and they were signing players. They did it very cleverly. They did it on a championship contract and a League One contract, just to protect themselves. But when that May the 1st deadline came, and they're throwing the money around, and word gets out, you know Keighley are big players. They're not just coming up in the championship to survive. They're coming up in the championship to put pressure on your Bradford, your Halifax,
playoffs,
your Widnes and Yorks. They're targeting the top 6, and what they've done is nothing short of remarkable in terms of being able to attract, you know, players like Ben Crooks, Luke Gale, Mark Ione, Tom Doyle, because there's no secret, Jimmy, they have thrown the cash. The players they've lost, obviously, Scott Morrell, retired, now at Castleford, Eddie Pettingbourne, Junior Sow, James Feather, QLT's gone back to Sheffield, a couple of their sort of League One players who joined them on that journey. Matt Bailey, Chris Cullimore, they've gone and joined Midlands Hurricanes. Kean Fisher, of course, who come from Leeds. He's now trialling at Bradford.
Had a run out yesterday.
And Aidan Scully, of course, who left Keighley. He's at Bradford.
Yeah.
He's going to help with the reserves. And just a quick one on Aidan Scully. When he come on for 10 minutes yesterday, I thought he did okay. You know, handled himself well. But yeah, look, a lot of focus is going to be on Keighley this year because they're back in the Championship. They're going to be growing the crowds like there's no tomorrow at Cougar Park. They're hopeful of a 2,500 average, which have put them in the top 5 for crowds in the Championship. You know, Keighley, they're not just, like you say, here to make up the numbers, Jimmy.
Definitely not.
They are going for it, and quite rightly so. A lot of those clubs, like your Halifax, your Bradford, your Yorkshire Widnes, they're going to be looking over the shoulder because if they thought they'd strengthen, well, look, there's a new kid on the block here, and we know Dewsbury and Workington got relegated. Keighley have come up, and normally normally what's happened is, like when the clubs have come up previously, their sort of mantra and goal for the year is let's this survive and stabilise. Well, tell you what, Keighley have got the BMX from Toys R Us. They've said to the shop bloke, I don't want them stabilisers on. Get them off. I'm going from a BMX. I'll be on a mountain bike this time next year, and we'll be going to Super League. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like for Keighley. Listen. Yeah. Out of all the clubs, what are you laughing at?
Your analogy is brilliant. I've been slaughtered for mine recently.
No, well, that's the best analogy it is.
It is, you know, I agree with you. I'm not saying I'm saying it's a brilliant one. I'm laughing my head off. Mother Sally's took little Johnny down to Toys R Us. He wants a BMX, you want stabilisers on it, learn how to go. No, I know what I'm doing. Boom, here we go. Look, Keighley for mine. These are going to be dark horses, surprise packages. I know you're going to focus a lot on Sheffield, Jimmy. When we get to Sheffield, but for mine,
well, let me say something.
In terms of indicators, Keighley will be the top performing Championship team in terms of what their expectations were. I'm going to say it now. Keighley Cougars will be top 6.
Well, I'm going to say something that I don't think you can cause them a dark horse because they are the joint 3rd favourites to win the grand final. So they are. Especially after the Gale signing, everyone was already excited about what they were doing, getting into it. Adding Gale in there, they've just jumped up above Bradford, or level with Bradford, level with Halifax as joint third favourite. So their expectations are there. Without getting ahead of ourselves, I'm gonna disagree with you. I think I love the signings. I love what they're doing. I love everything Reece has done. What they did last year, preparing early off the field, nothing but admiration. But I think that this year it'll be too much too soon with the other quality around to do. I think they'll be challenging, of course. I've not got him in my top 6. I've got him in that chasing pack like we spoke about before with Barrow and Batley. But Gailey, massive. If Keighley can get on the front foot in games and Gailey can start putting his stamp on it, they're laughing. But it's all about the middle, innit? We know enough about the Championship Rugby. It's about that middle battle. All halfbacks can play. Are they going to get a chance to play enough to win games? I've got them as one of those teams who are going to be really competing and pushing teams close, winning some, but narrowly losing a lot. You know, just being that little bit of Championship experience. What they did last year was cruise. They won game after game after game. They had some tough games with the other couple of top teams for Swinton to Doncaster.
They were only ever tested at Hunslet. It was a late try against Hunslet.
And you know, Swinton obviously they're tough games, but it's a bit like Lee in the Championship. You know, they're very similar. When it all goes your way and you're not in that arm wrestle week in, week out, it's a lot easier to back up a win with a win with a win. They're going to be up against it pretty much week in, week out and playing teams who are better than him once every 3 weeks, in my opinion. So I think they'll do well. I love everything they're doing, but I don't have them as 3rd favourites. Not for me. So that's my take on it.
I've not got them 3rd favourites.
No.
Jimmy. When I come round to the table,
I know you've not.
I've got them 5th or 6th.
I know. And I think
but they're in the pack with your Barrows, your Batleys, your Bradfords, your Widnesses, your Yorks.
Yeah, not for me. I've got them with Barrow and Batley. But I've got Bradford and Bradford a bit.
After you weren't with us on Saturday next to Gailey, Jim, saying that.
Joe, you were at the game on Saturday. Keighley against Newcastle. Give us you've seen Keighley in the flesh. How's it all coming together? Where's the strong points? Where's the weak points? We know Keighley weren't playing, because he was sat in the stands.
Keighley and Thomas Doyle weren't playing, weren't they? So I think they were two of possibly the better players.
Why won't Keighley playing? Resting
no,
4G?
He's got a. I think he had a ban.
Yeah, still on the ban.
Yeah, no, I think he wanted to play. He was devastated he couldn't play. So no, had a ban. So didn't play. I don't know why Tommy Doyle didn't play, but I think maybe he wanted to see the other hookers. But yeah, they looked all right, didn't they? They beat Newcastle. I think they've definitely got. I think the one thing they might more struggle with is they've got a lot of ball playing props and big men. How many pure, just tough nailed meter makers they've got. I didn't quite see it there. Whether they're the ones that didn't play in the team, I don't know. But they didn't. That one point where like you could see them all playing, the ball were going side to side. They were trying to play loads, but they weren't smash mouth rugby. Obviously, I don't think that's how Reece completely wants to play, but that'd be the one thing where I didn't see loads of that. I did see some brilliant plays. I saw what Reece is trying to do, implement a fast play where they're not playing around the black, they're playing in your face, passing side to side. They did it all. They beat Newcastle, but yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see it with Keighley and Tommy Doyle there, because they didn't blow me away. I don't think anyone watching there were like, wow, this is the top 3 team we're watching. But obviously, it's easy not to say that when 2 of your best players aren't playing. So yeah, basis there. Probably need for me a few more tough nose in bad yardage. Because when they got good yardage, like I said, Robbie Story looked unbelievable. Hit some of the best lines I've seen. Really tough runner, but can they all do that in their own 20? Yeah, that'd be the one thing I think to watch out for early season when they're trying to figure that bit out. Otherwise, yeah. Looked good. Beat Newcastle. Newcastle were actually, when we get onto them, Newcastle actually looked really good. It was a good game for a pre-season one, to be honest with you. Sometimes you watch them pre-season games, your eyes are hurting, you're panicking because rightly so, it's the first game and you're like, oh god, you can see the rusty. Yeah. I think both of the teams look pretty good.
And make no mistake, Keighley have come up and done what not many teams have done in recent times, have made a clear statement that they're going to be challenging. Their in-house goals, I'm sure, they won't be getting carried away. Reece Lovegrove won't allow that. They'll be setting targets that aren't about how many games we're going to specifically win or where we want to finish. It'll be about what they need to do as a team to start competing in the Championship. Will they be wanting to challenge for playoff spot? Totally. I think that's the goal for probably 8 clubs this year. But they're not going to be setting their sights on let's try and get third, let's try and get fourth. I think the bookies have got a bit carried away with the hype. They'll have very realistic expectations and goals. They know it's going to be tough. Reece is well aware that the Championship is a different ball game to League One, and they're going to require a lot of getting used to it. The players who've only played League One have got an experience and a challenge to get used to it. They've brought in players who've got experience to try and balance it out.
The only thing I'll disagree with you there, Jimmy, is that I wonder what their owners think, because Luke Gale is not a let's just survive in the Championship.
I'm not saying surviving, but I'm saying
whatever you've just said there. Yeah. Challenge. Then an owner signing Luke Gale isn't looking to challenge for playoffs. They're looking to do very well and come top 4 and top.
I'm not sure. I think signing Gale doesn't mean you have to be challenging for the top 2, 3
any
spots.
Owner paying for Luke Gale and wanting Luke Gale on your team, I think you'd be mad to not say, I want to come in the top 3 or 4. I don't.
I think their aim is to get into the playoffs.
That might be.
To compete.
I think I've spoke to Reece as well. You've saying what Reece says, which I think he would say that, and rightly so. It's nice and it's a good mark, and so you're not getting expectations too high. But an owner's a bit different, isn't it? If you're spending on Luke and some of these big signings, I think the owner's probably secretly thinking they want to do well. They want to come top 3 or 4 here.
Again, I think it's hard. I think that our difference of opinion on the Championship as a whole is the standard is going to be so high. Teams are so strong. He needs these players to compete for the top 6. That's the realistic expectation in my head.
My take on it is you don't invest.
Same as me.
Well,
Similar.
Probably in the middle, but just to reiterate, when I said I've got Keighley in the playoffs, I have got Keighley finishing in the playoffs, but I've not got them finishing any higher than 5th or 6th. I do have Keighley in that
sneaking
York,
in
Widnes, Batley, Barrow bracket. That's what I've got them in. I've got them in that cluster of clubs who may or may not get there. And Keighley, like you said, Jimmy, they might just miss out. It might come down to a game or 2 games. But if they do turn 2 narrow defeats into wins, they're going to be in it. That is how tight and close the championship and how competitive it's going to be this year. Every game, every minute, every point is going to count more than ever. Because we've just gone through Keighley, Halifax, Featherstone, Bradford, Barrow, Batley. We're at the halfway point of going through the championship preview, and every club that we have said, not one of us have said that those clubs, them 7 clubs that we've previewed, not one of us have said they're going to be anywhere near the bottom. So that tells you the quality in the championship for this year. And I'll be honest, last year I was excited about the championship and the quality. This year, I'm even more.
Me too.
It's fantastic, but I think we all agree Keighley significantly strengthened. They are not in the championship to make up the numbers, and they are going to spring some huge huge surprises. And you know what? We talk about Halifax, Bradford, York, and maybe Featherstone, Toulouse on their positions. A trip to Cougar Park or Keighley going there and getting a win. They could be the difference between denting their positions.
Totally.
We're moving on. London Broncos. Interesting times at the London Broncos. The outgoings, Brad Foster to Bradford, Callum Garn's gone to Toulouse, Tuilatu's gone to Newcastle Thunder, Brock Pellegrin and Jude Ferreira to Hull FC. In the incoming, Sam Davis, of course, from York City Knights, Jared Bassett from London Schollards, Marcus Stocks come from York City Knights, Jensen Monk has come through the London Broncos Academy. Good to see him being promoted. And we've got Henry and Ethan from Wentworth Magpies and Newton Jets. So they've gone for...
That's a weird... Why would they say someone coming up from the academy? Because, for Bradford, you'd have to put... You'd
have to put Marcus Gray.
It's a weird one that they put.
Well, I don't think Bradford didn't have enough space to put anyone on there, did they?
Just a weird one, isn't it? That they put. Sorry.
It's probably their first team squad, first team numbers.
Yeah, no, but even for Bradford, there'd be 5.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think
weird.
London have done it like that. Bradford.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
When I look at London in terms of incomings and outgoings, there's not much. There hasn't really been much activity on the face of it down there. It is very much like for like. We know London last season were they ever genuine relegation contenders? I don't think you could obviously say any 2 club in the Championship's too good to go down, because there were some very mediocre performances at home. I know they lost to Whitehaven 8 points to 0. That was unforgivable. I spoke to a couple of people who were at that game, Whitehaven directors, and they genuinely thought at that point London were toast. But what we did see over the course of the season was a lot of those young homegrown players that they blooded, and obviously they did strengthen throughout the season. We knew David had obviously taken a little bit back in terms of his investment, but ultimately London thrived, and I think this season again, this is probably going to be the first club that I'm focusing on who I'll probably say won't make the 6. But they will be tough opponents, and they are slowly but surely building at their new home at the Cherry Red Record Stadium in Plough Lane. I had 2 trips down there last year. It is a fantastic, amazing facility. I will quote David Hughes, because he did say to me after the first game when Bradford played there in the Cup, he genuinely feels that he had to pull out his investment because obviously COVID and the economical climate is very hard and tough at this moment in time. But ultimately, David is very self-conscious in that he knows that he's not going to be around forever. And the London club does have to eventually stand on its own 2 feet. I remember speaking to Andrew Henderson a few years ago when he was London coach, and he says, we have to ease the financial burden that David puts into the club. And obviously, David is still funding the club because he's funding the academy to the tune of 150 grand a year to keep that going, which is again a lifesaver. And you think to all the good work that Danny Ward and Jamie Langley did, but ultimately, London are in a transitional period. You know, they have gone from being full-time, relegated from Super League with the most points. You may remember when they had to beat Wakefield to stay up, and they narrowly lost at Bellevue, which confirmed their relegation. But London, you know, they are one of those clubs on the day that can pose a hell of a lot of problems. I'll be honest, I've got London between 10th and 8th, similar to where they were last year.
Yeah.
Probably a bit more improvement. I don't know much about the players that they've signed from Wentworth Magpies and Newton Jets. Clearly they're dipping the toe in the New South Wales comp. You know, are these going to turn out to be a real diamond like a Jake Mason's potentially going to be at Halifax? I'm not so sure. But one thing I do know is London, never easy to go down there and get the win. Very rarely do they get beaten heavily at home, and they're going to be tough. But yeah, to quote David, he actually, it was a very philosophical conversation, because he was actually saying they've got the right ground at last. They've actually moved to somewhere what they can build.
Nice little stadium
at home, but it's at the wrong time. And what he meant by that is because he's pulled his money. David's pulled, you know, so much financial support in the club in terms of being able to, you know, spend all this money on players to give them a genuine chance of promotion to the Super League. It was like they've moved to the stadium that they need, but it's just the wrong time.
And
I think
again, I agree with you. I think we've got to give a lot of credit to Mike Eccles. I feel steady in the ship is the perfect term. You know, when we were started to include him in a relegation conversation last year, he came in with his understanding of the club and how things need to be, and they sorted themselves out. We've got unknown names here. I think a big part of that is they knew as a club they needed to move away from signing Northern lads who were potentially going there for
a big payday.
The wrong reason, inverted commas, whether it's for money or whether it's because they aren't happy with other opportunities. But they knew that just wasn't working, because before they knew it, they were either wanting to get back up north midway through the season because it wasn't working, or they were always looking at getting themselves back up at the end of the season. So that explains to me these Australian signings. They're signing lads that they know from day one they're here to live in London, be part of the club going forward. I'm with you. I don't see them being any weaker, any stronger. They'll be good at home. They'll struggle away. I've got them down there, the first team who we've spoke about, who I don't think will be either in the top 6 or knocking on the door of the top 6. I think there's just too much quality and depth above him.
And how good is it that London have followed what Bradford have done, promoting from within? Mike Eccles, obviously.
Brilliant.
The former academy coach, he's now been given the job
S&C.
on the full S&C. He's been given the job on the full time. Clearly, there's a lot of respect there.
He understands the club. He's been there a long time. It wasn't necessarily something he wanted to do, but he wanted to do what was best for the club and help the club. He might have enjoyed it more than he thought he might, you know, and he knows. Clearly, his results showed that he started to get the best out of those players by, you know, reaffirming what London's about and what London should be about. And let's hope they're on that step to getting, you know, some identity back and not being, you know, misused by players for other reasons.
Joe, just quickly, London Broncos, your thoughts?
Like you said there, no disrespect to him, I just... Not much that excites me there. Not that's, you know what I mean. Not that they have to do a full season. Sometimes they're the best off seasons when you keep it the same. Innit? I think St Helens showed that year on year. But I don't know, Mick. I think I'm a little bit worried about London. I think they might have to make 1 or 2 more signings. They might be trying to make some. That's just. But I think there might be a few things coming, because I'd panic, because I think we've seen in the last week, so even Swinton have made another signing or so, and I think Whitehaven are still in the market for some players. So I think to keep up there, I think they might have to sign 1 or 2 more at this moment, to be honest, mate. Like you said, them Australian players, complete unknowns in my view. Apologise if you know them and they're amazing, but I think at the moment, without knowing how good these 2 Aussies are, I'd be not worried, because like you said, I think they're in that bottom 3, bottom 4 like we've said, that bottom 3, bottom 4 conversation, and can they get a bit of good, because in the bottom of the league it is just can you get 3 or 4? Can you pull off, especially last year, or can you pull off a good bit of form and get 2 wins mid-season against maybe someone you shouldn't? That's all it really takes to stay up. So can they do that? Probably, but yeah, I'm slightly worried, to be honest, Mick.
Slightly worried. Oh, we've had our first slightly worried.
Right, here we are. Welcome to part 2 of the Championship 2023 season preview. We're halfway through the teams. Sadly, Big Mick has let us down here. It's one of our favourite shows to do, and Mick's knowledge is exceptional on the Championship. So me and Joe are going to do our best to go through the remaining teams, give you an idea of ins and outs, where we think they may come in this season, which, as we've said so far on part 1, really hard to call. 10 teams fighting for the playoffs at least. So Newcastle Thunder is next up. Big changes, lots of ins, lots of outs. They went through quite a bit off the field, moving away from the full-time system they'd been doing / hybrid system. So Joe, take us away. What stands out to you?
I'll just rock through as many as I can. We'll do the outs first and see what's probably leaving. So you've got Ollie Roberts to Sheffield, Akuma Tai to York City Knights along with Jesse D, Josh Eves to Whitehaven, then to Swinton Lions, Ellis Robson to Keighley, Brad Day to Featherstone, Josh Woods to Batley, Jake Shorrocks to Toulouse, Dan Coates to Midlands, Pat Moran to SO Avignon, I believe a French League One team. Craig Mullen has retired. Isaac Notes has amazingly gone to Australia for the Ipswich Jets. Well done, Isaac. Brilliant move.
Some player in.
And then Nathan Wild's gone to Lee Leopards.
Big names, isn't it? That's what stands out. Both halfbacks. Ollie Roberts, someone who was on full time. Quite a few of their full-time players obviously were told to seek out other opportunities. So some massive losses there. Yeah,
like you said, they've lost their, like you said, their spine of the 2 halves and the full-back Craig Mullen last year. The hooker Josh Eves, I apologise, wrong. Josh Eves, the starting hooker, so they've lost the starting spine. Yeah. So it's a massive turnover. Apparently Ellis Robson's doing well at Keighley. Brad Day's obviously a champ, nearly probably legend at this point. He's getting close to there, would you say? Yeah. Ollie Roberts, up and down, played at the top level. We'll see what he's got this year. Kuma Tai. Yeah, so, like I said, big names. Great, yeah. I think they're not have to rely, as we'll see with the ins. I think they're going young and they're going more Newcastle based, close to
try
home.
To get their identity back a bit.
Yeah, I think that a lot of what they said last year and the last few years is that they've gone other places and they've tried to bring that to Newcastle. This is just my complete personal opinion, but I think if you meet, they famously last year bought quite a few Wigan lads up, and on dual reg or loaned a lot of Wigan lads up, and it didn't quite work. Obviously, had a very disappointing year. They were predicted top 6. They ended up, I think, 3rd to last. I think my answer to sort of that is that if you meet a Wigan lad and if you meet a Geordie, they couldn't be two further apart people, and not insult to either. They've both got their amazing parts as Yorkshire lads. We've all got a good part, but they are very different. They are very different people. And I think it just that mix didn't work. So as we go through the incomings here, they've gone more Yorkshire and up North Cumbria way.
Yeah, drag them across the country. Yeah.
So we'll dive into the ins. We've got Reece Clark from Workington, Nick Al Williams from Whitehaven, Rob Tuilatu, I've just said that, he's from London. Even Evan Lawfer, we'll get into him actually, this is a very good story. Marcus Walker from Hull, Curtis Davies from Workey, Alex Young, Workey, Dan Okoro, Connor Moore, 2 loans from Hull KR for the season. Alex Clegg from Workington, there's a female, Jake Lightower from Workington, Mac Walsh unattached, and Jack Potter just went for a month but he's back now at Hull KR. But obviously Biggest signing, would you say, Jim? What would you...
I think...
I mean, the coach.
Oh, right, yeah. I suppose so, yeah. Yeah, it explains a lot of the signings coming in, doesn't it?
Chris Foreman, yeah. Just
going back home, Chris Foreman, can he... and it's clear to see he's looking at, because of a change in circumstance, he's now trying to create an identity there with the players and refocus on bringing the young academy players through. He's obviously brought a few lads with him, with Workington getting relegated. It gave him the chance to take a few of their players that he obviously liked and were happy to make the move or travel. So a whole new look, a whole new identity. Are they going to have the expectations to be right up the top? I wouldn't have thought so, but do they believe in-house that they can surprise a few and challenge for the playoff spots? I'm sure they do.
So Chris, I think I'll give Chris a lot of credit. What people seem to say about him is that, especially from what we've got quite a lot of these, we've got a few lads that have signed. Obviously, Danakor, Connor Moore, we did. They're absolutely loving it up there. Curtis Davies says Workington was there, but then went to Whitehaven. Just an absolute amazing... I can't speak more highly about Kurt as a bloke. Just a brilliant lad. He now helps us out with our footage.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And they've got Evan Lawfer, and I think what he's doing, like you said, he's really pushing these young lads, which, as seen by other teams in Champ, there's some brilliant Newcastle lads, and in top League One, there's a lot of these Geordies that have had to drop down to different Midlands. Now, Hunslet have took on a lot of them, they're moving up. Obviously, Kieran Hudson, there's a few names about where the emphasis wasn't put on bringing through these young Newcastle lads. Now, Chris is. Yeah. All the word is Chris is bringing them through. Evan Lawfer, the reason I left him out without discussing much is that he quit. So we looked after Evan, we spoke to him, and he quit the game because he just couldn't see that opportunity happening. Well, he's played one pre-season game so far, played against Keighley for the Newcastle fans that were there to watch. He played unbelievable. He actually was opposite Ben Crooks and did Ben a couple of times. I think Ben repaid the favour once, but Evan is an amazing player, and I think Chris will be excited to have him on board, along with a lot of these other young lads that will come through, the names of Alex Donaghy, Jake Anderson, Nathan Clement. So we've got there's some brilliant young lads coming through.
Talent coming through.
Yeah, and they've
It's the perfect man for the job, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is a total reinvention to a certain extent, and after trying that full time and paying the big bucks and getting lads over and it not working, it's a great time for Newcastle. There's no mass expectation on them from outside, is there? It's going to be a real time to start rebuilding and refocusing with a longer term plan that we know from what IMG have said, that homegrown talent is going to be hugely important. The academy is going to be hugely important. So they've got a bit of a free hit this season. I like to think they're gonna give a good account of themselves and start that
They
culture.
need an halfback. The one thing they need an halfback. They've got
Nick Williams is obviously a big signing coming from Whitehaven,
and then they're actually playing. They're playing Alex Donaghy there, who's actually a fullback.
Yeah.
Jack Potter went on loan, but he's sadly not staying there. So then you've got no one else. You're playing one person out of position who's going to be I think he's been given the 6 shirt, Alex.
Right.
So I think they need to find an halfback, and if they do, from what we watched against the Keighley game, me and my dad went to it, sat with Gailey. Oh, sorry, my tapping. Yeah, apologies for. But from what we've seen against them against Keighley, they could probably beat anyone on the day. They've got a young, hungry lads, and Chris has got them all playing for the Geordies. They're out.
And if they can make that home advantage count, that's going to be big for him. So
I think they probably in the next few weeks, Newcastle fans, I'd say, hope a halfback comes available, or you find one, and you've got a hell of a chance of surprising the world, I think.
Right. Oh, that big? Do you think? Yeah.
I'm hands up. I am completely biased because we've got quite a lot of lads. We've got a lot of show me lads in that Newcastle team. So yeah, probably a bit biased. But yeah, from what we judging it pre-season, and in the previous show, Dad were talking the vibe of a camp and how everyone. they're all happy as out. They're all. I had them all ringing me, going, "Yeah, we're loving it. Chris has got The vibe is just so happy that, as Dad said about Wakey, I think it's a Newcastle vibe where they're all like, there's dangerous. No expectations. We're all happy. We love Chris. Chris loves us. We're all playing for the Geordies now. It's not a bunch of other people. Yeah. Let's give them a go.
Yeah, no, I like it.
And they've still got. Sorry, I know we're going on about new, but they've still got Alex Foster, Mitch Clark. Yeah. They've still got some
that
big name.
Yeah, that nice balance. That they've got a couple of real good experienced pros in with these young ones, and I mean, again, because I'm feeling that with so many teams that are strong this year, I don't see them getting in the playoffs. But can they cause a few shocks at home? Can they catch people going up? Thinking that they might be having an easier game, in inverted commas, and get these lads on a good day on the home pitch, and let's hope they can cause a few surprises and not get dragged into that relegation battle. I think that's their main aim, to be honest.
Yeah, can't disagree. Yeah, as long as I'm happy. I think they'll cause some surprises, but otherwise, Jim, I believe I'm going to take the lead on this one. They might. Hey, I've got the next team, Sheffield Eagles.
Shame Mick's not here because we have a bit of fun with Sheffield. I don't know why, but Mick he just has. I think he got booted out of there many years ago, and he's never let it lie. So he's never too happy to be too positive about Sheffield. But obviously, I've a lot of lads who I look after are at Sheffield. They made a bit of progress last year. They weren't far off the playoffs. Couple of games during the season that cost them where they didn't have enough players, and they lost away at Barrow in the first game, and at Dewsbury dropped points. So
take us through them, Jim.
It's a huge list of ins and outs. The biggest, or as big as anyone in the league. Incomings, that is, and very few outgoings.
Yeah, it's only according to the RFL website, there's 3 official outgoings. Obviously, there's always some maybe lower down that in and out. But
that slip off. But Kadeem Williams, Matt James, who I think originally retired, but Doncaster have managed to pick him up, which could be a brilliant bit of business for Donny, because I've never seen him have a bad game. Tom Holmes. Tom went to Sheffield halfway through last year, and he decided to take his opportunity at Bradford. So you can see here, Sheffield have really, really strengthened their squad. Last year I felt they had a good 17 and a little bit of depth, whereas now, for me, they've got as much depth as anyone. We just touched on Ollie Roberts coming from Newcastle.
Well, they had a fairly deep squad last year, didn't they, in terms of just the amount of players? Now they've took it to another level.
Yeah, not really. They had to play a couple of games, not even having 17 last year.
Oh wow,
with injuries and what have you. But Oliver Roberts, Super League experience, relationship with Mark Aston from his Ireland days.
We want to see the best of Ollie, don't we? He's had probably a rough couple of years now, and we probably want to see the Ollie that was at Huddersfield playing that amazing season a couple of years ago, where they were the next talk of the town. If we can see that for Sheffield.
Yeah, and he's got a little calf strain at the moment, but he'll be back soon. And the way I view Ollie, is a bit like Jesse Senolafeo, who's arguably their biggest name signing.
Massive signing. Brilliant for Fev last year.
He played 15 games for Fev last year, which was more than I actually thought. I had it in my head that he hadn't played an awful lot. But what a character, what a 2 characters to have around the squad with some of the younger players, and with all the experience they bring and the energy. And I think that's a lot of the reason for Mark getting him in. They're 2 people who offer as much around the training camp as they do on the field. But in my head, if they can get 10 big games out of each of them, and hopefully more like 15, in important games playing against other rivals for getting in them playoffs, they could end up being really good additions,
Well, we hope so. Obviously, like I said, Ollie probably needs something to prove.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Definitely. Yeah, that Newcastle move didn't work out. And to be fair to him,
on decent money.
Yeah, he could have stayed. He could have stayed like a few others have, and kept the money and stayed there. But he's decided clearly that he wants a change and a chance to be part of a team that I believe are going to have a really big season. The next name that I'm going to mention, we touched on it when we talked about Halifax, Titus Guaze, for me, could be one of the signings of the season. He is such an athlete, strong, fast, fit, powerful. I'm sure every Halifax fan was devastated to lose him, and that's Sheffield's game now. They play each other first game of the season, so that could be a real firecracker. You've got Corey Aston and Titus Guaze coming out of Halifax and going back there round 1. That should be a hell of a game. Titus Guaze, I can't say enough good things about him. He's trained to the house.
I don't think they'll be that disappointed. We've already been over this debate, but I don't think they're that, because they've got Big Will in. I don't know. I'm taking Big Will over Titus. I think that's a like for like. I think maybe, like you said, if he can be that player.
They're
but I've
very
got
different players though. Titus Guaze is fast and furious. Will is a bigger unit. Great player in his own right. And a great addition to Halifax, but I don't. Well, if there's Halifax fans who are watching, I'd love to know. I imagine they'll be devastated at losing.
Be interesting. That could be a debate at Halifax fans. Who we have in Will or Titus? That's a bit controversial, but let's see.
If you want to make it simple as that. But Corey Aston played there on loan at the end of last year. Mark's son probably got a good chance of playing. He's got a point to prove. He had a tough year last year, not getting much game time at Halifax. So he's another one who'll be looking forward to ripping in and getting a good year with Sheffield. The other halfback we've brought in, one of our lads, Jack Hansen, who's just been outstanding at Swinton for a number of years now, going back to the year Swinton had in the Championship where they had a really tough time. He always stood up and put performances in. He caught our eye and scored the winning try to get Swinton promoted in the final last year, but decided to take this opportunity at Sheffield, and he'll be playing round 1 with Anthony Thackeray still with the game banned, so he's got an opportunity to show the Sheffield fans what he's about. The list goes on, doesn't it? 2 young lads from Leeds Rhinos, Joe Hurd, Mackay, Bridgman Reaney, two lads. Different stories. Joe had been at Leeds for a long time. Leeds fans who watched a lot of academy and reserves
the leader in that group, in the Leeds group,
loved by everybody. One of the nicest lads you could ever meet. But Leeds didn't see a place for him and allowed him to start his journey down the other route. So both him and Mackay will be hopeful to get game time this year, but it's all part of them starting their journey into adult rugby. See how they go. You've got QLT joining, who again joined part way through quite early last year, really, when it wasn't working out at Keighley. Brings experience, another great character around. We'll play plenty of games at fullback for him again this year, I'm sure. Matty Dawson-Jones, a big signing from Bradford. He had a tough year last year, did Matty. I don't think Bradford saw the best of him, hampered by injuries. If Sheffield do get the best of him, you're talking a 20-try winger there for me. So with him on one side and Bish on the other, as good as anyone on the wings. Aaron Murphy came with him from Bradford Bulls. A solid back rower, well thought of. Everyone knows what he can do. Another good addition. Lewis Peachy, who came from Castleford, but he'd been at Newcastle for the year. Anyone who was at the Sheffield Donny game yesterday, for me, he was a standout player on the field. And, he's going into a pack with Tyler Dickinson, Brandon Douglas, Liam Kirk, Beans, Blake Broadbent. I wouldn't swap the Sheffield pack for any. That's how strong I think we are there.
Just got to put this out. I said it with Newcastle. Jimmy is extremely biased with Sheffield. You've got to put that on, Jim. I admitted it with Newcastle. You've got to.
I have got a huge soft spot for Sheffield Eagles. I've been a big part of.
Any follow on this show now?
What they've been doing and what Mark's been trying to do over the last few years.
Yep.
They've finally
you
back,
have very good
back in
relationship.
Sheffield. They've finally got their own ground there, a bit like Newcastle. They're reforming their identity, and that home advantage is now a thing for them. They've been on the road for so long. So
I think we've covered everyone there, haven't we? We've not missed anyone.
Yeah, that's all the ins. Yeah.
Jim, coming from you, you're close to Mark, you're obviously close to a lot of the players on that team. What are they, honest truth, no playing on the fence, where do you think they are hoping to get this year?
Undoubtedly in the playoffs. Yeah, the signings they've made and how close they were last year, that if they don't get in the playoffs, it'll be a huge disappointment for everyone involved.
So
that is undoubtedly their aim, and they've done everything they can off season to sign the players to add to that squad. I think they've got as good a chance of anyone of getting in there as well. So it'll be no surprise to me if it succeed because of the depth of squad.
So who's missing out? That's what I'm gonna chuck at you. When we get at it, when we go through the league, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to say now, or should we say we'll save it for the end? We'll save our predictions for the end. But I do firmly believe that everything they've done off the field, and Mark Aston drives it all. They have got the squad and the depth to handle injuries and make sure that they
I think
at the table.
In my opinion, I think they'll struggle in that top 4. I know you didn't mention that, so I'm not going to say like that's the expectation, but I think they'll struggle to hit that top 4. I think it's just, like you said, there's a couple of teams there that are really strong and that have signed superstars, but not depth. It'd be interesting because Championship, there, if you're looking at Sheffield, you're going of depth for squad there. You're looking at them signings, obviously 3 to about 12, not exact number, but however many they've signed near 12, it looks like. They've lost 3. They're just going to have such a deep squad that they'll be replacing people like for like. My one question, Jim, how do you keep everyone happy when it's that deep?
That is the question, yeah.
That's what I'm worried about.
I think the main challenge is, for a good few years now, Sheffield have had a smaller squad, and the team, to an extent, has picked itself, with the exception of a few positions. Whereas now, they've got best part of 30 players who are all undoubtedly championship quality. And I'd argue that the vast majority of them are undoubtedly top 6 championship quality. So that is, I think you're bang on. The challenge is keeping these players happy. It's making sure the players who aren't featuring for Sheffield are getting game time elsewhere, so that when they're needed, they'll be ready to step straight in. But as Halifax have shown for a few years, if you want to be a top 4 team, you've got to have that much quality in the squad, because injuries come, and if you can't ride them, you'll lose that game, which should have been a win, and you can't afford to lose too many of them.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think Sheffield, like you said, going through it, there's only I can really think of Fev that are competing just pure depth. Like they've got a lot of players there, which I'm going to say sometimes can work against a team when there's that many people who want to start. And imagine there's only a couple of names on this list, like I said, Joe Word, Mackay, that would be comfortable maybe missing out on the first 10 games and understanding that. Most of these lads are thinking, I want to be in.
100%. So it's a flip side of it. Having competition for places is brilliant. That's what every coach always wants. But unless you've had a load of injuries, and if they have a good fortune with injuries, they're gonna have, like I said, 10 players every week who are top championship quality missing out. So yeah, I agree. That is their challenge. Keeping everyone happy, getting the players to buy into this slight change of environment that we are trying to become a top-end championship team, and to do that, it's a squad effort. And that's that's down to Mark to manage, the man management, which...
They're all similar standard. I don't want to go deep into it, but they're all quite similar. Where, like you said, they're probably top 6. I won't put many apart from Jesse as like a top 1 or 2. I think that's probably the next step. Then would be next year probably buying for example, buying the Luke Gale like Keighley have, or buying the Jack Walker where that's going to push them to compete in that top 2. I think they're probably missing out on that, but in terms of just a solid champ side, it's just very, very deep. Yeah,
but I get we love Gaelic to bits, and I'm sure it'll be massive for Keith this year. But Anthony Thackeray is proven top quality championship half.
You've not just compared Anthony Thackeray to Gayley.
100%. At the championship, it's a different game at the championship.
Exactly. And I think...
Well, we'll see. I've no doubt Gayley will be brilliant, but Anthony Thackeray is for me undoubtedly a top 4 championship half to take the team out, and he's got Corey and Jack Hansen there in support. So
I disagree with that. I think he's brilliant, but he's in his last year of his career, and I think for him to perform to a top 2 level, well, he's not even. Well, the reports are I don't know him personally, but isn't he? He was meant to be retired, isn't he? This his final year?
He's going again because he's excited, a bit like Bish. They're all the senior players, Chris Wellham. They're all excited about where Sheffield are going.
But I mean, no, him personally, isn't it his last year, or is it in open?
I mean, it's the old Kylie Lulu. Why his last year was last year, but he's going again. So he obviously believes that he's coming up to his 400th appearance. So he's excited about that.
That would be my one.
And he wants to be part of Sheffield getting in the playoffs and pushing everybody. We know that Feather, the team to beat. We know Toulouse will be very strong, and Halifax will be very strong. But everybody's gettable. This is going to be.
As we go into it, definitely.
Look at Thackeray last year. He was 3rd top try scorer in the division.
Yeah,
he's probably got as many assists as anyone. So
he's brilliant. That's not an insult. In fact, I just think at his old age now, he's a year older than even last year.
But he looks after himself. Immaculate. Obviously, as you get older, there's more chance of injury. If he can play as many games as he did last year, brilliant. If he doesn't, Corey and Jack will step up like they're going to at Halifax round 1. So yeah, exciting times for them. I've got him nailed on top 6.
I've got him 5th to 7th, I think. Could drop out. As we've discussed, there's a lot of similar quality. So I don't know. I just think if Mark gets it right, 100% could even top 4. But that's a challenge. He's challenged himself, obviously, as a coach. You've got to appreciate that. He's definitely challenged himself.
And it's been a long time coming. We've had so long of moving around and just trying to survive and try and knock on the top 6. They are going for it. There's no doubt about it.
Brilliant.
They're going for it.
I like
the signings
it.
reflect
they
that.
are.
So
I agree.
It'll be interesting to see how they go. New recruits promoted in the grand final to John Keighley in the Championship. Swinton Lions.
Yeah, just go through the outs. Got Jack Hansen. We've just covered him at Sheffield. I shouldn't go back to Sheffield, but that's the one person I'm worried about, not in terms of talent, in terms of game time, because I want Jack. I think Jack's good enough to be playing week in, week out, good championship level. Will he be doing that at Sheffield? Potentially not. And I think I personally think it would be a shame if he's not, because I think he's that good. I think he's got potential to be any standard. So,
well, the good thing with Jack is he signed a 2-year deal at Sheffield. The aim is that he will learn, develop, and when Anthony Thackeray does decide it's time, he steps into his shoes. This year, I can see him playing a good amount at half. He knows he can use him at fullback, and probably Sheffield's biggest weakness, in inverted commas, is the cover at 9. They've got Vila, who's, he's their number 9, but it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see Jack coming on.
Like the Tom Holmes from last year sort of role.
Yeah, coming on, doing 20, 30 minutes and speeding a ruck up. And Mark I'm confident he'll get enough game time. But yeah, it's I know what you're saying. It's a big loss for Swinton.
Yeah. Dean Meadows, Dean Meadows from Oldham, Paddy Jones and Matty Wilkinson from Oldham, Max Roberts from Widnes, Lewis Hatton, Widnes, and Jack Spencer. Well, that's a bit funny, isn't it? They've either gone Oldham or Widnes.
Staying local, innit? You see that a lot with Lancashire, Manchester teams. Jack's the only one who's willing to take the petrol bill. Lewis Hatton, a lad who I do a lot with. I'm going to say it now.
Oof.
He's going to be my championship player to watch out for. I think he could end up being the signing of the season. I think it's a big statement, but I think Widnes, who we'll get onto shortly, I think are going to have a right year, and I think he'll be a big part of it.
Wow.
Everybody at Swinton devastated to see him go, but he had this opportunity. He's some player. He's full speed, full effort, whether it's training or in a game. He's a right handful. He's had a brilliant pre-season. I know John Keary's delighted. He's shown it in friendlies already. So
save a bit of spice for the
incoming
Jim. You've just sold him, but we're not even talking about.
I got a bit carried away there. But a huge loss for Swinton. A huge loss for Swinton.
Well, let's see if they've replaced him with any.
A few, haven't they? So
with anyone, we'll have a look. We've got Josh Eves from Newcastle, the hooker. I think they need Swinton. Were desperate for a hooker. They've got Josh. Miles Harrop from Salford Red Devils. I think he's one of the ones who actually came through that reserve system that Salford have created. They're on pay as you play, but they're all from amateur teams, and they've come up, and well done to Miles for taking his chance. Joseph Romeo, Jake Spedding, both from Widnes. Gavin Benyon from Rochdale. Benison, oh sorry. Anthony Dime from Keighley, Johnny Openshaw, Salford, Morgan Burgess, Warrington, Jordan Gibson, North Wales Crusaders, Andrew Badrock Lee, Scott Parnaby, Kenny Baker, Gavin Roden and Liam Cooper. Jim, what stands out to you there?
Well, it's a big list, isn't it? Swinton's job, again, it's tough when you're going up through that playoff final. Your window for recruitment is smaller. A lot of teams have already done business. They're unsure what division we're going to play in. But they've added numbers, haven't they? They know that going up to the champ, they need a bigger squad. There's a lot of players there that are going to be unknown to a lot. They're hoping to surprise a few. I'm sure they've got optimism and aims within, but ultimately their challenge is to survive. It's as simple as that. And they've obviously recruited locally, trying to add depth to that squad to give them the best chance of picking up those wins to keep safe. I don't see anything other than, understandably a tough year from first year back in the champ, a really strong competition. I'd like to think we're going to surprise a few, especially at home, and pick up points in the same way as Newcastle will to try and get them away from that nasty relegation battle. But it's going to be really tough for him.
Yeah, I don't see it personally, Jim. I'm willing to be a bit tougher. I think they've added depth, but a lot of unknowns there, isn't there? I think if that champ, and I love signing unknowns and seeing some amazing player develop, I do, and I like that they've gone that way. But you do also in the champ need some veteran, as you said, the Anthony. You need a couple of them who will just take you through and win you them tough, gritty games that champ offers every weekend. Yeah. And to be honest, I don't know enough about the players, and I don't want to say, we've said it before, that probably says it all, but I generally don't know. I probably need to study some of them names a bit more.
And we're excited to see them, aren't we? We're excited to see how they go, with these, lots of new players on board, to see if they can, catch a few teams cold early in the season. Play a brand of rugby that's a bit different and excite, so wish them all the best. It's never easy coming up, especially with a couple of big names going. But it'll be tough, and they'll know that, and the fans know that. So yeah, game on for them. Survival is the challenge, I think, without being too dismissive of their playoff chances. But yeah, over to France.
This is the interesting one. Toulouse Olympique outgoings got Tony Gigot, probably pronounced that wrong, Matty Russell, Gigot, Justin Sangare, Mitch Garbett, Andrew Dixon, Joseph Paulo, Maxime Puesh, my French isn't bad actually, Chris Hankinson, Corey Norman and Romain
Navarrete.
Yeah, thank you, I needed help for that one.
There's a lot being made of Toulouse going into this season with a 19-man squad. The smallest squad in the Championship, but they do have that special relationship with Catalan, where they're gonna hopefully pick up a lot of their fringe players.
Yeah, I think they've announced, aren't they, Catalans,
Yeah.
that they are going to help out Toulouse quite a lot and help them do all right in the league.
My only little thing on that is I'm envisaging Catalan to have a tough year this year.
Yeah, so how much does that
and it's one of those where it's great in theory, and we know from
because
the
there's
young
no
team,
guarantees, because there's no season-long signings been made.
no,
there
not
already.
official. And we know that when the young Catalan team played Wigan, I think it was late on in the season, we see there's some real quality coming through. So hopefully that works out of them. It's a lovely away trip for the teams, to go over there, but it's also a very tough place to go. I'm sure their home record will be outstanding. My opinion is, I don't think this is the same strength of Toulouse as we saw in the Championship last time. I think they're going to be more gettable when they're on the road. They've got to go to Barrow first game of the season. That's a tough gig. So,
well, I think if you look at the outgoings there's some massive, massive names. Tony Gijo on his day is unbelievable. Known is like a very up and down. What did Dad call it? Rocks and diamonds. No.
Rocks and diamonds.
Rocks and diamonds has his brilliant game of his bad game. Matty Russell, pretty similar, but Justin
big
Sangare.
meters for them, Matty Russell.
Justin Sangare, monster. Mitch Garbutt, solid. You've got Andrew Dixon, we're good. Paolo, good. Hankinson, we're good. A lot of the Corey Norman.
Yeah, I never read. Yeah, the big names going out. They've got Jake Showickson from Newcastle to take over that halfback role. He's got lots to prove. He was very, very highly thought of at Wigan coming through. He went to Newcastle. Newcastle had their tough year last year, so we're probably still yet to see the best of him.
Yeah.
Akawula, big signing from Salford. Look, they're clear second favourites for the Championship.
Not mine.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That they're expected with a home advantage and the help from Catalans. Fev, with their pre-season performances, have established themselves as clear favourites. Toulouse are in their second. Do I see Toulouse coming outside the top three? No. I think they're nailed on top four, and they'll. I don't see them certainly not getting in the playoffs. But do I think they'll lose more games than last time they're in the Championship? Definitely. Do I think some of these stronger squads and teams that we've got this year can have a real go at them at home? Yes, their home advantage will be huge.
I think if you think about some of these champ players, it is a nightmare for them because most of them work as well and a full-time job. But also, especially in that summer, it's a nice day out in France. It's not the worst. Apart from that heat, it's not. I don't think they're devastated about having a nice little weekend in Toulouse. Some of them, apart from the ones that
the away players.
Yeah,
no, they love it. They absolutely love
so I don't
going,
think it's big as a band. I'd rather go to Toulouse than I would obviously Whitehaven in the winter. I think Whitehaven have a bigger advantage in that winter than Toulouse do at home. Not compared. I think Toulouse are much better, but I'm saying in terms of that journey.
Yeah, it's a different challenge. It is hard going over. With a little after the travel, the temperature. They're so used to the conditions. The full time.
They have to come to England as well, which. I think coming to England, if you're coming to England and your squad depth isn't as deep as it was, and you don't have Toulouse when they won it last time, their squad were just that much better than everyone else. It wasn't really close. Where now I don't think they do.
I agree. That's what I'm saying.
That them early matches of coming to a Whitehaven, Newcastle.
Well, Barrow away is the first game. That's what I'm saying.
That must kill them. They've been training in the nice French weather. Well, boom, boom. Now they've got to go Barrow in the rain, in the snow, in the muck. Oh,
totally. Yeah, we agree that they're going to have it tougher on the road, and they'll be gettable on the road. And who knows that maybe at home. I think their own record, I think, will be solid. But I think they're beatable because the champ is so much stronger. So.
They just don't have that squad depth. Yeah.
It depends on this Catalan thing. It could end up being massively beneficial to him, or they could struggle with it. But I still don't see him coming outside the top four. And for me, I've still got him coming second behind Fev. But not as easy as last time round for him. Cumbria, Whitehaven hung on last year. I mean, they've had a tough pre-season. We'll talk through their outgoings first of all. Tom Wilkinson, Will Evans.
Tom Wilkinson, he were signed at Hull anyway. That's an RFL mistake, that.
Right.
He were at Hull KR.
Geronimo Doyle, what a wonderful name. Liam Cooper, Andrew Dawson. So they've managed to keep some. They've certainly added numbers.
They've lost the winger as well. That's not been added recently. Who was?
Oh yeah. What's his?
Andrew Bullman.
Andrew Bullman's gone to Barrow, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So he was, I saw him at the Big Bash, scored a few tries, electric winger.
And they've technically lost Josh Eaves, who was signed at Whitehaven, but then he's then left Whitehaven because he didn't like the travel and he's moved to Swinton. He were meant to be a Whitehaven player.
Oh, kicking the balls for Whitehaven, that, isn't it? But they've clearly got a bigger squad going into this year. I don't see it any different to Swinton in that their objective is to survive. They've got Lachlan Lansky from Brisbane, so a big
Brisbane Tigers.
Brisbane Tigers, not Brisbane Broncos. Who knows? The bit of. I mean, they did it with Lachlan Walmsley, didn't they? They brought him over and they found a right peach there.
Ryan
so if
King,
they've got
they do have a good. I think I speak to us quite often.
Record.
Yeah, they work with someone. I don't know if it's an A. They work with. They've got a connection out there that actually knows his rugby quite well and gets some good Aussie unknown players.
The record speaks for itself, doesn't it? So if they found another one there, that could be great. They've nicked Jamie Duran from along the coast at Workington, an experienced player who can get them round the park. Lasaruso Tabou from Carcassonne, one of the better French League One teams. So someone else that we'll just have to see how he goes. Marcus O'Brien from Workey, Josh Rook, Salford Red Devils, Sam Freeman, Rochdale Hornets, Lucas Castle, St George Illawarra Dragons reserves. Another Aussie. Have they got a diamond? Have they got a rock? We will see. And Daniel Spencer Tonks from Salford. So
I speak to Ash, and apparently that Daniel Spencer Tonks is coming on like house on fire. That Salford Red Devils, like I said, Salford, they got a few in the literally they just did a trial game and then took a load of Lancashire lads, and some of them have took the chance and they've ended up being good players and all ended up signing at championship clubs. I think obviously a move up from that reserve thing. Yes. So well done to them. Unknowns. I think you've got 3 unknowns that I think that's where they put their money in. Lanksey, Tabou, and Lucas Castle. Daniel Spett. I think they've got a lot of unknowns. They've gone, like I said, experience with Jamie Doran and Marcus O'Brien.
Yeah, 2 good signings from Workington.
So. And then, like I said, them Salford Red Devils players again. Who really knows? It was their reserves, so it's hard to tell. A lot of projects, but. I love Ash. Ash, I love you, pal. You're one of my friends in the game. It's just going to be tough, innit? It's going to be really tough.
It's going to be really tough. It was tough from last year. But yeah, I've got them and Swinton battling it out, to be quite honest. So they're going to rely on their home advantage. It's always a tough trip to Cumbria.
Yeah, definitely. They need to hit that early season games when the weather sucks. These lads have been training it. They know the Worky boys, exact same situation. So they need to get a couple of wins early and probably just ride that out and pick up. The
only issue they've got is their first game is away at Bradford, so that is a tough start for him. So it's going to be, if it can pull off a massive upset there, then brilliant. It's a change. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. But wish them all the best. Hope the home advantage can help them pick up a few points against the teams around them.
I think Evans and Bullman, and they've also lost Ryan King. I don't know why Ryan King's not on there. They've lost 3 players who were probably 3 of their best.
Yeah, you're right. He's not on, is he?
Yeah, it's poor list this RFL, by the way, for Whitehaven. I'll split boot him, but they've lost 3 players there. That were probably their standout players last year. Yeah. So they really need these unknown lads that we've mentioned from Australia, France, and Salford to really come up good and get them the tough wins that they need.
Yeah. Right, Widnes Vikings. For me, I'm thinking Widnes along with Sheffield are going to be the two teams that break into the top 6 this year and have a real good season. John Keir took the reins, during last season, and he started the ball going on recruitment early, gave him a huge advantage. Kyle Amor, big signing coming in from Saints, everybody knows about him. Tom Gilmore, a massive signing. We touched on it with Batley. It's probably a bigger loss from Batley than it is a gain for Widnes as it stands. But if he goes and does what we all know he can do, and he's been a top championship for a while now, he could be the man that really gets the party going at Widnes. Max Roberts in from Swinton, Callum Field in from Fev, my man Lewis Hatton, who we've talked about, from Swinton. Ryan Miller, a very late addition, got released from Bradford Bulls, and is, a lot closer to home is Widnes in a relationship with John Keir. He's signing for Bradford.
We're missing a couple incomings there as well.
Will Evans from Whitehaven is the last one on this list. Who else are you aware of?
The Bradford prop.
Oh, Anthony Walker.
Ant Walker.
Yeah, Ant Walker's not there either. Again, we're going off the official RFL page.
Yeah, any mistakes, do not blame us, blame the official RFL website.
And we probably stubbers as well, so feel free to add those in. But for me, along with Sheffield and Bradford, with their late business for one of the 3 teams who have strengthened the most. New coach, new look, a couple of outgoings. Matty Smith is retired, as is Steve Tyra, both been great players for Widnes, but they've made way now to the new look. Levy and Zogu, Lloyd Roby, good bit of business for Keighley, I think. I've always liked him. Kenny Baker's jumped to Swinton, along with Jake Spedding. Lewis Hume, Little Deck Gregory, one of my all-time favourites, has hung up the boots for the time being.
Says he's gone to Bradford on this list, isn't it?
Yeah, they've put him with that, haven't they? Josh Johnson. I mean, they must have...
They've missed some signings.
Yeah, they've updated that rather quickly, haven't they? But yeah, Josh Johnson, you might have seen this week, he's left Widnes and joined Bradford. So that clearly didn't work out there. I think a bit of travelling issues. So yeah, I'm simple here. I'm nailing my opinion. I think Widnes are the team who, along with Sheffield, who will really have a good year. We'll see. The first few games, we'll get an idea.
This is where the big debate's happening.
Yeah, I think we disagree on this one, don't we?
I don't know if they've necessarily strengthened, other than replaced good players with good players. That's the way I'm thinking. Matty Smith for obviously Tom Gilmore. I think both were good last year, but I think that's pretty like for like.
I think
Tom Gilmore. You think Gilmore's a lot better?
And no disrespect to Matty at all, but I think Gilmore he's the right age. He knows how to take a team around, and he'll be holding the reins. And if it works, it's a new look, So they've had a couple of good results in pre-season.
I just think
it's looking good already, but we'll have a better idea after 5 games.
I think they'll have a brilliant start. They've got just the way John Keir plays as well. I don't know how well John has adapted to the new style of playing. Not that it always works. Champ is a bit different because it is more rugged. The pitch is a bit worse quality. It does suit a John Keir style. But you've got these new coaches where they're going to play fast attacking rugby, like Keighley, Bradford, obviously, as we've watched, that play jack around the backs, flying everywhere. You've got Sheffield, who play quite a fun style. You've got Fev with new Sean Long, I think they've had a brilliant start. So you've got a couple of clubs that are just playing this new brand of rugby, and I think
you're gonna get a surprise.
I think they'll start brilliantly, and then I worry about the big pack. They've got a massive pack, which helps early season, but on them 4G pitches in summer, I can see. I've got them doing well. Don't get me wrong. I've not got them doing bad, but I'm not there's a lot of hype around. You speak about Widnes, and a lot of people have got them. Oh, they're going to do awesome this year. Some top 3, top 4, top. I think they'll push for playoffs, but I think they're going to be in a tight battle for that last 6 playoff spot. Is my prediction. I don't think they're not have as good a season as everyone predicts, and please wait till the end of the season for that prediction, because I'd 100% them to start strong because they've got an absolutely ginormous pack, and they'll start strong in that bad weather where it's tougher to play fast-paced rugby.
See, I think the opposite. I think they're going to surprise you. I think they're going to be playing fast. They're going to use that form.
What, with a pack that's averaging 100?
You're probably talking Lewis
kg.
Atton is the fastest legged prop going. You know, they've got some speed in the back row. Anthony Walker is not the quickest prop going.
Kyler Moore.
He's coming down from Super League. He's still going to be
brilliant.
He's still.
Not
he's not.
He's not fast twitch. I think that's why I'm saying early season.
I know what you're saying,
but
I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
but I think they're going to play a really fast, expansive brand of rugby on that 4G and tear some teams apart. And I think John Keir will be coaching what he's got and the pitch he's got, and it won't be the more traditional style we saw him do with Bradford. I think he's going to surprise a few who are quick to say his style won't work. I think he'll be doing a style that does work, but it's going to be they're one of 10 teams who will be aiming to get in the top 6. I think they could do it. You know, it's hard to call.
I think they're in the same position. I just think
You think they'll get in?
Potentially, but I think you've got them a bit higher. The way you were talking about them, I thought.
I've got them.
You said that about 10 of the teams, Jim.
I've got 6. I've got my league sorted. Don't worry. Yeah.
But you've said a lot of them all competing for that playoffs.
Yeah, they are. I do believe. I think this is the year of all years where there's so many teams.
I'll find out when we do the list at the end. Because obviously you've saying very similar things about every team, which is probably fair. But you're not saying I can see them on the lower. I'm saying I see these on the lower end of that competition.
Do you think they're in the playoffs or not?
I can't tell. I think it's around there, but I think they'll be the. I don't think they're comfortably in the playoffs.
No,
most people are saying.
No, they're not. Most people aren't saying
quite
that.
I've heard quite a few. I've heard a lot. You've gone down now, but you were very comfortable. I've
got them in the playoffs. I'm making that call. Whereas if
that's
you go,
quite comfortably, then you're saying that confidently.
I am. Well, yeah. You know, we're trying to make predictions, aren't we? We can't sit on fence with all of it. York City Knights.
Incoming, Josh Daly, Mounties, unknown. Kumatai, Newcastle Thunder. Jesse D, Newcastle Thunder. Ronan Michael, Huddersfield Giant, wasn't he?
He was there last year on loan, yeah.
Connor Fitzsimmons from Workington. Ben Bernard, he signed at the end of last year again.
Yeah, made his debut last game, didn't he?
Yeah. And then John Luke Kirby from Huddersfield Giants. Outgoings, Big T, Toby Warren. Jacob Ogden, I believe, has retired or took a...
Yeah, he has. He's packed it in.
Yeah,
he's packed it in.
Perry Whiteley, Dewsbury Rams, and Ronan Dixon, Dewsbury. Jim?
Yeah, I think York last year, really good year after a really tough year of injuries. They've made some great signings. Connor Fitzsimmons, big favourite of mine, great addition. Josh Daly is a hooker who's tough, loves to go himself. Seen him in a friendly, looks like he could be a nice little addition to give him a bit more option at 9. Akuma Tai, everyone knows Akuma Tai. If you get the best of him, you're laughing. He's injured at the moment, so they'll be looking to get him back on the pitch as soon as possible. I think the one thing that stands out with York is they've got a small squad. They have got the smallest squad of the teams competing for that top 6.
Along with Toulouse, but you'd say maybe they've got that.
Yes, true. Yeah, I think Batley, York, and I think Toulouse will get the place from Catalan, so I'm gonna leave that. But I think York and Batley are the two that won't be able to handle injuries as well as the teams around them who are competing. But we know that on their day, their first 17 is as strong as anyone. They've got Hendo in there, a different look to Fordy. He's going to try and get them playing more expansive and scoring more points. It's an exciting change for the club. You know, they've had Fordy for a long time, who's done a brilliant job, as we've said many times. So it's going to be a really interesting season for them. I think they need a few more to come in and bolster that squad, because my worry is that if they get injuries, they're not going to be able to handle them as well as, you know, the Bradfords, the Halifax, the Sheffield. So, but are they still an absolutely top team when everyone's fit? No doubt about it. No doubt about it. They're going to be another team that have got every chance of getting in those playoffs again.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just going to be tough for them, because I don't think they've got a starting centre at the moment. Don't mind.
No, yeah, they're certainly short in that.
Yeah.
They've got Glover, but you mean the other one? Yeah, they need another one.
They've given Kumatai the shirt. No, did they give Jesse D or Kumatai the shirt number for the starting centre? But the second rower, I think they give it Jesse D, didn't they, as the starting centre, and he's famously not played centre in like 3 or 4 or 5 years. So they've got a few positions.
Little gaps, haven't they?
Yeah, little gaps there. And then, like I said, the depth. They've got a lot of young lads. They probably need they probably need Miles to take that next step up. Forward, he had massive raps on Miles a year or two ago. So I think he thinks himself he has to take that step up. Obviously, you've got John Luke Kirby, you've got that Ben Bernard. AJ's kind of locked down that starting winger on. He got the shirt, so he's done brilliant. So they probably need the other young lads to then be as good as
because you'd expect they're going to have to call on those young lads as a few injuries come in. They're already starting with a few on the sidelines.
I think
Paulie's out for a little while. They've just lost Brendan O'Hagan. You know, he's gone back to Australia. They have got, you know, they're all right in the halves, you know, with Liam Harris and Atengano and Jamie Ellis, who's there as support.
You said Atta and Liam, probably one of the best halfback pairings in the league.
Totally.
You've got the wingers, AJ, Joe Brown. AJ still improving. Joe Brown is probably one of the best wingers in the league.
Well, I think Glover and Joe Brown, that edge is, you wouldn't swap it for any, would you?
No.
So if you have got, like we're saying, that 17 fully fit, you wouldn't have a question mark, you know, whether they're going to get in the playoffs for me. But the only question mark is the depth. And ultimately,
I think they need another prop as well, don't they? Probably a prop and a centre.
Prop and a centre, and you know they'll be feeling a bit more comfortable. But you know, Hendo's got him there. He's got what he's been given to an extent. He's putting his stamp on the way he wants him to play. He's got a good group there, so it's going to be exciting for York. I do think it's going to be tough for him because of the reasons we've said and the strength throughout the comp. So. We'll see. They had terrible luck 2 years ago with injuries, like horrendous luck. I'm hoping for their sake this year they flip it around and they have some good luck and they keep their main men on the pitch and they'll be able to compete.
I think we saw the lack of depth maybe in that final playoff game, didn't we? Where I think they had that final playoff game, they had Chris Clarkson at half. They had
when they went to Lee. They'd done the job against Halifax.
They beat Halifax with a very depleted squad, and I think they all teamed together in this legendary performance. But again, that was a very depleted squad, so I think that they're probably. Yeah, it's going to be tough for them.
Really tough for York because
with an injury or two, really tough. But without, they should become. All right, that is our championship preview of all the championship ins and outs. We're going to go through our league when Mick finally makes it after a night out. Hopefully he isn't hungover again next week. As my dad said, he's on the block. He's under review, as the work would say.
P45 was printed out this morning, but I think we're opening it back.
So we need him here next week. We'll do the full league ladder
predictions,
debate over prediction. We'll get stuck in. We're all passionate about it. We've all got, varying views as well about certain teams. So it will be interesting. We'll get proper into it. Mick will be here. But that's ins and outs. Jim?
Yeah. No, I think the one thing we are all agreed on is it's going to be the best, most competitive championship we've seen for a very long time.
Yeah, I think the main takeout is that there's not that standout team who have spent, well, maybe last year 1 million, 1.2. There's not that big spender.
Yeah.
Feather a bit down, Toulouse are miles down to when they went up. So yeah, it's going to be really competitive.